But I think the development of full artificial intelligence will spell the end of the human race.
It's a flying object, and we don't know what it is. I would hope somebody is checking it out.
I don't know whether rockets or whatever, but incredibly fast, opposite direction. They were too fast to be an airplane.
I'm glad the Pentagon is looking at this, because if it poses a threat, I want them on top of it.
Well, the craft generates its own gravitational field.
You said there's lights in the sky?
The internet has become the command center for criminals and terrorists.
911, what's your emergency? I need help, please help!
Aliens won't let it happen. You know, that's what we're instructed to say.
Roswell, Area 51. Alien kept deep under the ground.
1, 0,
self-serving. You're here for a reason. You're listening to Troubled Minds Radio.
Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness. Good evening and welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and hello to all of you who may also have troubled minds. What's going on, guys? It's Monday night. Happy Monday. Monday's one of the days we get together and talk about all the things we're not allowed to talk about. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at 7 p.m. Pacific. You know what those things are. That's right. Aliens, conspiracy, the paranormal, the government, academia, the 24-hour news cycle, propaganda, and the general feeling that we live in the upside down. Upside down as always, right? Like literally you just can't turn on anything anymore, news-wise, media-wise. Open up a newspaper, just fire up the internet, you know. You don't have to fire it up anymore. That's the old days, right? The old days you had to fire it up. Remember you had to like actually dial in with the modem and it would make the sounds and go beep, 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 beep. Crazy sounds. Yeah, well, not anymore. You don't have to fire anything up. You just smash the thing and you're on the internet. It's ubiquitous now. You don't have to do a damn thing. The internet's there for you. But it doesn't even matter anymore because just I talk about this a lot on the news show. We do a news show on Mondays and Fridays at 3 p.m. on Twitch as well. Just kind of talking about the news. And I tell you what, the propaganda, what the only thing worse than election year propaganda is wartime propaganda, and we've got it like Fast and Furious coming out of the West, Fast and Furious coming out of the East, and well, you know, we're told it's nuclear war, right? Like this is the end. This is the end of all things. At the end of all things, may your troubled mind be true. Well, I don't know if that's true, but I do know that the propaganda is just firing off, and it's difficult to get anything done anymore. It's you know, you got to turn on this station to see what they're saying, turn on that station. I just turn it off, right? At some point, like I'm just tired of listening to it. I'm tired of following their garbage narratives where they just, you know, want to give you one side of every story. And it's, it is what it is. So here we are instead, right? Here we are by dark of night, whispering into the microphone to get it out there, kind of like the idea is radio-free America, a little bit of that, right? Like just trying to get a little bit of maybe some sanity out there. And the craziest part is about that statement is the things we talk about on the show are absolutely insane. And so there it is. you have to attack sanity with insanity, and then you get, well, troubled minds. So in any case, I don't know what the hell I'm talking about, so don't mind me. But this show's about like all that stuff I said and more. It's just the berth is too wide. It's just too much to really say that this is what it's all about, other than a sum up, right? So all this is just really a sum up. And so the whole point of this is that the whole point of me rambling is that it's first, number one, by the way, if I'm rambling and you're like, why is this guy rambling? Number one, because it's a talk show. I mean, it's a talk show. So there's that, right? There's that. But then the second thing is, because there's a lot to talk about, right? And not only that, this is unscripted. I don't have any inside sources. I'm not going to try and pull your leg and tell you, oh, by the way, my sources are telling me to trust the plan, and the way the end is going to be this time or that time or the other. No, come on. I'm not going to do any of that. No inside sources. I don't know anything you don't know. I watch news cycles. I've been very good at it. I've become very good at it, and just picking out propaganda, right? And so that's what I do. And the reason this whole show and all the stuff that I'm talking about is because I think anymore the propaganda is all division all the time, and they want us to be more aware of our differences than they want us to be aware of how similar we are and how similar our needs are as people, from governments, from the police, from you name it, from whatever institutions they're trying to make us swallow as like the next great thing. Well, we need similar things regardless of our differences, and that's what they don't want us to talk about. And so the whole point of this has always been to get together with normal people, just normal people, and talk about crazy stuff. And that's what we're doing, and then we're going to do more of that tonight. So as we begin with that, just wanted to say that we're doing this live. All the ums and ahs, the weird pauses, the awkward giggles, whatever, it's all there because it's all unscripted, it's all live, and it's just a loose framework of a conversation to begin, and a conversation with friends. And that's what this is about. And I truly believe that we can agree or disagree and still be friends tomorrow. And that's it, right? Sometimes things get a little heated or stupid or dumb. We don't even do that much on this show at all. But I still think that we can disagree and be friends tomorrow, because they tell us we can't. They say that if we have some sort of fundamental differences together, well, then we should hate each other, right? Then we should dox each other. We should sell each other down the river. We should, rat on each other. No, come on. That's so 1984. That's so Orwellian. We don't have to do any of that. And that's what this is about. So we do this live to include you. A few things. We're streaming on many platforms, including Rockfin, YouTube, DLive, and Twitter. Well, of course, we're broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. That's digital radio. And we have an open phone line. So if you want to be part of the show, multiple open phone lines, actually. And, of course, the Discord. So you can reach the show right now. It is Monday night. It is the last day in February. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. Discord is a chat client. It's a voice client. It's completely free. And that's what's up. That's what's going on with this. And let's see, what else do we got? We got some other stuff I got to get to. Please join the Fringe Discord as well. Go to fringe.fm/chat. I'm watching that as well, along with all of the rest of the chat out there. What's up? ENS Works on the Fringe chat. I see you there, buddy. How are you? So that's what I'm doing. Trying to watch all the chat in all the places and say hi and just be a social stream, be a social radio show, just be a social mic. And sometimes it's harder than others, but hey, I've got my friends, and the secret weapon of this show has always been you, because getting regular people together to talk about wild things it really makes us learn a lot about ourselves and a lot about each other. So that's what we're doing tonight. And well, tonight we got a doozy for you, per usual, right? Just another random Monday night on Troubled Minds. And what we're going to be talking about tonight is, of course, that's right, fabled time devices is what I'm calling this, and timeless communication, meaning, are there actual... So here's the questions for tonight. Number one, do you think it's possible to communicate? Because, okay, let me reframe this real quick before I ask the questions. So what we do know about time is this. Not a lot, all right? We do know that we're stuck in this sense of time, right? We're born, we live, we die. That's what we know, okay? And that, not to be too grim or sinister about this, it's just what it is, okay? I don't mean it to be depressing. Hang tight. We're gonna get to some better stuff in just a sec. All right, but we're stuck in this time frame. Okay, I guess you could say the way we frame time and live in those time spaces, we can't seem to slide out of them. Meaning that it's been said by physicists, all kinds of scientists, even Einstein, that time itself is difficult to really quantify because they say that all time exists in the same space at the same time, all right? At the same time, meaning the past, the present, and the future is all here right now. Just for whatever reason, we're sort of locked into our time space, our time slice, whatever that happens to be. And so the rest of it is going on around us in, I don't know, alternate dimensions, alternate time spaces. However you want to quantify that or define that is what's happening here, all right? So before I get to what we're talking about, the question is this, right? So just to kind of frame it so you know what I'm talking about so I don't sound like a ridiculous, I mean, let's say, so I don't sound even more ridiculous. How about that? Is that, check this out. Is it possible then, if all time exists in the same space, the past, the present, and the future is right here where I'm standing, all the things that have ever happened in this spot right here are happening now around me, and I just can't perceive them, and they can't perceive me. Well, is it possible to somehow communicate with those other slices of time, all right? And there are stories that suggest... yes. Some people have said, ancient astronaut theorists always say yes. But there are other different folks that have said yes about this particular thing. There's been some pretty wild claims about communicating to the past, or having the past communicate to us, or communicating to the future, or having people from the future communicate back to us. And so I'm not talking about time travel in the strict sense of Marty McFly hopping in the DeLorean and going 88 miles per hour and needing 1.21 gigawatts. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about whispering or communicating through this ripple effect of time. The past, the present, and the future in this same space we're standing in right now. So the question tonight is this. Is it possible to actually communicate through these barriers, whatever barrier it is that keeps us from seeing these time spaces? Is it possible to communicate to other times like the past or the future? And if that's the case, then that would, tons of implications. That would mean that, of course, the past could communicate to us. Or, of course, we could communicate to the future, et cetera, so on, right? So lots of ways to think about this, but that's the question tonight. And so I was digging, I'll get to the article that kind of spawned the idea in just a moment, but I was digging through some of this and thinking, okay, well, I've heard this. By the way, the Robert over there on Rockfin wrote a great story about this, where he actually from the future contacted his past self and put him on the right path, right? Said, hey, get it right, you're messing this up, and then he did, and it changed his life. Very personal story for him. I'm not going to go too deep into that. If he wants to tell that story, he's definitely welcome to. But the thing is that if somehow, some way you can step out of time and communicate to the past or the future, then, well, things go off the rails, don't they? Because what they're doing is that would mean that if we can do that, then they're trying to do it to us as well in some capacity, right? And like I said, there are stories to suggest maybe, as you know, the maybe juice. All right, so I think that's it. I think that's what gets us going tonight. That's the question. That's where we begin. And here's where we start, and what got me thinking in terms of this is I saw this article on the Washington Post. Democracy dies in darkness. I'm sorry, the Washington Compost is what I'm calling it these days because, well, for obvious reasons. But this is interesting. It started like this. And you'll see where my brain goes because my brain works in crazy ways. Past life experience. If you could pick any time to live in, what would it be? All right, that's a great question too, because if we start here, it's a good question. We can actually just throw this in because you guys know the way these conversations go. It's non-linear, open-ended, and we can take it wherever you want to take it. Okay, all right. So then I started reading this, right, and it's like lots of good stuff, right? For the sake of the thought experiment raises a question: have you been transported back to the past with all the knowledge you possess today in the 21st century? Let's see. Sorry, hold on. Let me find my spot. Okay, never mind. Forget it. Forget this article. This is what got my mind moving. All right. We don't need to read this or even get into this because, well, it is the Washington Compost, and we'll just leave it at that. But it got me thinking in terms of time travel. That was the important part here. I was like, okay, yeah, this is fine. So if you were able to pick a time to live in, what would it be? Let's add that to the wrinkle here of the questions tonight. But then I started thinking, okay, look, we got World War III upon us, right? World War III upon us. All right. Well, so they tell us. So I started looking, and wouldn't you know it, from the International Business Times, this is from just a couple days ago. And you guessed it, this time traveler predicted Russia's Ukraine invasion in January. Yeah. Oh, really? Okay. See, that's a little more timely. I'm like, okay, now we can, have the time travel discussion. We can frame it in the World War III situation. Well, what I'd like to know from this time traveler is, does the world end? But wait a minute. If this time traveler is from the future and predicted this thing, then the world doesn't end now, does it? So should we be happy and relieved? I don't know. I'm confused. Anyway, let's read a little bit about this, because why not? Conspiracy theorists, this is again from the International Business Times, just a couple days ago, written by Nirmal Narayanan. And here we go. Conspiracy theorists all across the world strongly believe that the phenomenon of time travel is real. According to these conspiracy theorists, right? Ancient astronaut theorists say yes, of course. The technology to travel across time is already developed, but authorities are covering up the facts surrounding it. Social media platforms and YouTube are loaded with several time travel testimonials, where several self-styled travelers depict how the world will look in the future. Even though most of these videos are planned hoaxes, duh, these clips usually garner huge attention due to the mystery factor. And now a time travel video uploaded to TikTok. The TikTok time travelers. I love it so much. Uploaded to TikTok in January is now the hottest debating point among conspiracy theorists. Oh, is it now? I'll be the judge of that. This continues. In the video, uploaded around a month back, the self-styled time traveler had predicted a possible war between Russia and Ukraine. Oh, I see. So, the time traveler, who goes by the name Past Time Traveler, of course, in TikTok, claims that he is from the year 2102. The self-styled time traveler, who is currently stationed in 2022, in January, predicted that Russia's invasion of Ukraine could be imminent. Quote, answering questions as a time traveler. The issue involving Russia and the Ukraine turns into a war, the traveler said in the video. And the time traveler in the same video predicted that the COVID pandemic will never end. Well, guess what? I predicted that in 2020. in actually March of 2020. Yep, I was saying it then. Actually, probably even before that. Anyway, so this guy doesn't impress me that much so far. According to the time traveler, COVID will mutate again, and finally it will emerge as a disease like the common cold. Oh, okay. Quote, COVID never ends. It keeps mutating until the point where it isn't even as bad as the common cold. The sea level keeps rising and over 500 million people are relocated, added the time traveler. Even though the predictions made by the time traveler have convinced many people, skeptics claim that everyone could have predicted a war between Ukraine and Russia in January. According to these skeptics, fake time travelers are making claims after analyzing present global scenarios, and sometimes these predictions could be true. All right, so time travel, right? Time travel, it's a thing. Maybe it's not a thing. I don't know, but that's the question tonight. So what do you believe regarding time travel? Do you think it's a bunch of hogwash? I was about to say a bad word. No bad words on the radio. What if it is a bunch of BS? What if this time travel stuff is literally, I don't know. Okay, so in terms of clearly and obviously, if a time travel is a time travel device is created, right? Let's say in the future, let's say now, whatever. Then we have this medium between these time slices, between these worlds, right? And I think that's the odd part about this, is that which makes it like kind of an intriguing speculation, is that, wait, so don't you think, number one, if there was a time travel device created, we wouldn't see it for forever, almost forever, right? Like, that would be locked up, the throw away the key type of thing. It would be like Stargate in the Stargate series, right? They would hide that sucker, I don't know, in the vaults of the Vatican, which we're going to get to tonight as well, the vaults of the Vatican, because why not? But you get what I'm saying here. So if somebody had inadvertently, or even like vertently, is that a word? I don't think it's a word, but I'm going to roll with it. If somebody had vertently actually invented a time travel device, do you think we'd know about it? I think that's the worst part here. Like, let's say DARPA just popped one off kind of on accident, or intentionally is actually how we're going to roll with it, is that they'd lock it up, right? They wouldn't tell us anything about it. They'd be trying to contact, who knows who they'd be trying to contact, right? Abraham Lincoln or something. Or I don't know, like 200 years in the future, does the world end, right? But, right, I think that's the question here. So not just like, again, not in the sense of like a time traveler like this TikTok individual, the TikTok time travelers, which of course get my goat for obvious reasons. But if there's another whole slice of the equation here, what if it's not time travel at all? What if it's communicating through these different slots in time? Is that possible? And there are some examples of people that say it's true, and some actual conspiracies we'll get into tonight regarding that. So the question is that, as we begin, as we talk about this, as we consider all the crazy things, again, we call it on this show drinking the maybe juice. And what that is just a crude paraphrase, even cruder paraphrase of that Aristotle quote about the mark of an educated mind is being able to consider the possibility of something but not accept it. All right, I butchered that, but butchered it further by just calling it drinking the maybe juice. And that's what we do on this show. So the question tonight becomes exactly that. Do you believe it's possible, maybe not time travel per se, to like zip through time like Marty McFly? Nothing like that. How about just kind of tap into those time slices somehow and be able to communicate, let's say with your past self, your present self, your future self, whatever, like in any one of those sort of back and forth situations. And we'll get to some of it, including, we'll get to the Vatican Archives tonight. And if you guys have been paying attention, you know exactly what I'm talking about there. But there's some other pretty spooky stories about maybe being contacted through like a computer, right? Like maybe some device was created from the past and they're able to contact us and give us information to let us know that whatever they want to let us know, and we'll get to that shortly. So that's what's on my mind tonight. Do you think this is even possible? That's the whole question here, and I don't know. Like as you guys know about me, I'm sort of agnostic in all things. In that, let's consider them. Let's think that if this is possible, and they've created some sort of time communication device where you're able to talk to the past or talk to the future, all of the above, then that makes this a fun conversation, doesn't it? So if you want to be part of the show tonight, if you want to discuss this, what do you think about time travel? Do you think it's, come on, Mike, get out of here, this is a big waste of time? Or do you think it is that tickle the brain just a little bit in just the right way that, well, if this is true, if there is any basis in reality here, then some of the things we know about suddenly become extremely wild, and that's what's going on. So if you want to be part of this, you know the drill. You can reach the show and myself and whoever might be listening. And I always say, you never know who might be listening. There's people listening to this all over the world. And the old joke used to be, you never know, Vladimir Putin might be listening. But I think that joke really has taken a dark turn, so I'll have to add somebody else. Maybe Ronald Reagan from the past may be listening. You never know. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. And that's what we're doing tonight. Like I said, nothing too heavy, just a little time travel on a Monday night. Very troubled mindsy. And what do you believe? That's what it comes down to. I'm just the radio guy. I got a microphone, a jerk on the internet, whatever, right? It doesn't matter what I believe. It matters what you believe. And we're discussing the idea of time devices and timeless communication, meaning can we actually contact people in the future or in the past. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. You got it. Time travel, devices, and timeless communication when we return. Don't go anywhere. Be right back. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and we are streaming on Rockfin. What's up, Rockfin team? I see you out there. YouTube, D-Live, and Twitter, and we are broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. We're taking your phone calls tonight as we discuss this little idea of time travel. Not Marty McFly style with a DeLorean and 88 miles per hour, not that kind. What about a device that will allow you to peer into the past? Maybe see it, maybe communicate with it, or how about the future? That's what's on my mind tonight. Love to hear your thoughts on this. Do you think it's possible? I think that's the question here. Of course, always exploring the possibilities on this show and thinking, well, what would it take? What sort of... I guess it would be some sort of quantum tunneling or some sort of portal, or I don't know, maybe something I haven't thought of yet. And well, that's why I have you. Of course, the secret weapon of troubled minds. Love to hear your thoughts on this. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. And we'll put you on the show. And let's go to my good friend, James Salcedo. James of Salcedo Paranormal. He's already there. I don't have to do anything. He's already set it up. What's up, James? Welcome to Troubled Minds. How are you, my friend? Test. 1, 2. Are you there? Oh, I muted myself. That's why I can't hear me. James, Salcedo Paranormal, welcome to Troubled Minds. How are you, my friend? It helps if I don't mute myself. Are you there? Are you there? Okay. Looks like the technology is solid. I'm not sure what's up. James, you're up. I'm going to type it so we can see it. All right, so as we work out the technical difficulties, I'm going to get into the story real quick. Let's see. James, reboot Discord if you can hear me, and that'll probably fix it. Unless you can't hear me, I have no idea what's going on. Okay, cool. He's restarting. Cool. All right, got it. All right, so check this out. Now, I'm going to get to this idea. Now, there's this thing known as, we'll get into this story as we go tonight, and this one's wild. This is just one, though. There's more. There's something called the Chronovisor. You ever heard of this? Yeah, well, the Chronovisor is a theoretical time viewer, initially of past events. Francois Brune claims that Pellegrino Ernetti was a developer of the Chronovisor that enabled the viewing of the crucifixion of Jesus. Andrew Basiago claims that DARPA has vastly improved Chronovisor technology. Ah, yes. And where of course, do they hide this Chronovisor, you may ask? Well, of course, in the Vatican Archive, right? Locked underground. Of course. Let's see if James is here. James, test 1, 2. Do you hear me? I think everything seems to be fine. I don't know why we're having technical issues. James, are you there? Test 1, 2. Can you even hear me? Let's start with that, I guess. Okay, I'm going to read a little bit more about this Chronovisor, which is, again, sort of what got me thinking in terms of this, right? This is from allthat'sinteresting.com, and Chronovisor. Yeah, the Chronovisor. Yeah, right? It seems ridiculous, doesn't it? But, well, this is supposedly a real thing, and I'll get to this. A Chronovisor, man, everything's breaking. The webcam breaks, the Discord breaks. Are you there, James? Nope, he's rebooting again. All right, so here we go. From the 1960s until the 1990s, Father Pellegrino Ernetti claimed that he helped create a time machine called the Chronovisor, which he used to observe the crucifixion of Jesus Christ, right? Here we go. Let's see, blah, blah, blah. The Chronovisor, just read that. Though the existence of the Chronovisor has never been proven, a 2002 book by Vatican priest Father Francois Brune says otherwise. According to Brune, the Chronovisor was developed by Father Pellegrino Ernetti, a Benedictine monk. Ernetti allegedly kept the device secret until the early 1960s, when he confided in Brun and told him that 12 scientists, including famed physicist Enrico Fermi and former Nazi scientist Werner von Braun, helped him to build it. Because, of course, right? I mean, heck, if you're going to have a conspiracy, you may as well have some of the most famous individuals ever, right, involved in the conspiracy. I mean, if we're going to do this, we may as well do this right. Am I right? So okay, that's what we're talking about tonight. We're going to get to the Chronovisor a little bit more here, and maybe talk about the Vatican Archive if you want to talk about that. Whatever. You guys know me. I'm easy. We can take this any direction you want to take it. And we're still trying to get James on the show here. James, test 1, 2. Are you there? Can you hear me?
I'm here.
Hey, I can hear you. Hey, I'm talking
Yeah,
here.
I don't have the push clock on, but yeah,
That's okay.
I'm here.
That's okay. All right, sweet. Welcome to Troubled Minds, my friend. How are you tonight?
I'm okay. Just had to call in because, as you know, I find stories for my own show, and I found one tonight that had two time-related events happen to the same person, and I just thought this kind of fits pretty well with this.
Okay, sweet. So, all right. So then, with this said, do you think this is possible? It is the idea that maybe not like stepping into a portal and traveling back in time, but maybe looking through a window of sorts and being able to see past or future events and maybe even communicate with them. Do you think that idea maybe holds some merit? Or do you think it's too much woo for you?
Time is interesting. I have no idea. I feel like, as I always say, anything is possible. Also, the push to talk is not working at all for me right now, so I guess I have to just do it this way. But anyway, so yeah, I think it's possible, and I think, if you look again, like I said, and you probably found this out too. If you look around online enough, you'll find stories of people having just strange things happen to them that seem to involve time that don't make sense. That's according to most people's logic, I guess you could say, but they're there,
Yeah. Like I said, it depends. There's a lot of people that claim to have been able to, even back to Nikola Tesla, right? There's that story about him where he got caught in some sort of energy field in an experiment he was doing, and he swears that he was locked into or sort of came unlocked from our slice of time. And so he was able to see the past, the present, and the future simultaneously. And he thinks that if his assistant hadn't come in and turned the switch off, he would have died in that moment. And that moment would have been eternity. So, I mean, we've got like brilliant people saying this, just not like, crazy quacks from, I don't know, like me and you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, it's. I think it does seem like a lot of the people that were basically the brightest minds out there. If you dig into them further, they had interesting ideas about other possibilities of the way things could work, other than just what they put out in public for the most part.
Yeah, you would expect, right? Kind of like I said, if somebody invented one of these things, we wouldn't know about it. They would hide this forever until they were able to exploit it somehow and, win the lottery or, you know what I mean? Things like that, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yep.
Yeah, so you said, so James here does a podcast called Salcedo Paranormal, and he goes Monday through Friday at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, and he does it live. And you said that you have some stories regarding sort of these ideas of maybe communicating through time. Can you share one or two with us?
Yeah, well, like I said, I have one, it's basically one entry into one of the websites I use with two different experiences that basically one person had at different times. Now, the first one is interesting because they were just in their home, not doing anything out of the ordinary. But they said that they were standing in their living room, and they said it felt like an older version of their mind basically appeared, like, in their mind, and they started hearing these thoughts of this older version of themselves, saying, "Oh, this is the house where the kids grew up," which was what was happening in the present to the person in this story. That's where they were living, and that's where the kids are growing up. And the older voice said something like, "There's the cat that we used to have, and there's Midnight." Basically, that was the name of the cat, and that was the cat that was there in the living room. And so it was like this person, just for a brief time, was being visited by just the mind or the perception of their older self, somehow come back to the present, their past, and viewing the reality through this younger version's eyes.
That's pretty wild. So do we know exactly what the message was, or was it super brief, or was it recurring? What exactly happened here?
No, that was just brief, and it was more just like neither of them knew how it happened. Basically, there was no message. There was just this brief time where these two minds of the same person from different times were coexisting in the same space.
Okay, that's pretty odd. So kind of like we're describing, maybe we've talked about time slips in the past and things like this. Maybe it's sort of these ideas of maybe not a machine that can peer into these other time spaces, but maybe somehow by accident, I don't know, like a quantum something, right? Or let's say like the merger of two black holes, and you get that ripple in space-time comes flowing through, and maybe jostles the time spaces together for a brief moment, right? So you would be able to maybe communicate with your past or future self. Interesting thought there. So is this? I don't know. Is that so? There was just that little space, and they felt the presence, and that was kind of it.
Yes, yeah. Then it basically went away, and they were just left to wonder what was going on. From that point, and that was one of the two experiences they had, but they were different kinds of experiences. But I wonder if some people are maybe able to sense the kind of energy that is given off or generates these weird time anomaly things. If it's almost like how some people are more sensitive to spirits or ghosts, others are more sensitive to living people's emotions or their thoughts or their, I wonder if there's something natural that some people have, even if only rarely, that somehow makes this possible.
Yeah, and so that becomes. Can you learn this? Is this something you can do? Like basically, I guess this is probably a way of saying some people can do remote viewing, right? And so remote viewing is sort of unlocking yourself from your body, from this time and from this place, and being able to view these other things. So maybe it's sort of linked. Maybe it is sort of a power of the mind that needs to be maybe unlocked or practiced. Because some people say that everybody can remote view. It's just practice, right? You know how you get to Carnegie Hall, don't you, James?
Yes, practice.
Practice.
That's an interesting idea. I wonder if that was a case of some kind of remote viewing, where maybe it was even accidental, where this person in the future was remembering their past and somehow got so focused on it that they then remote viewed our present, and themselves at that time. That's a really interesting idea.
Yeah, and then so that means that it can be repeated, right? It's a repeatable exercise, and so who knows? Yeah, it makes sense to me that they say that the mind is like the ultimate portal and things like this. Maybe in this sense too. Maybe you can actually have a way to step into other times just with meditation or just with focus. Yeah, pretty wild stuff. You said you had another one, or that was the only one there?
That was the first one that this person had happen. There's another one. This other one is more almost like a typical, a little more common kind of a story, but it's still interesting. Basically, this person was riding in a car, and they were looking out the car window, and at some point they looked away and they looked back, there was the roads were different, like older, and all the cars looked like they were from the 1940s or 50s for a brief time. And it was just, there were no new cars anywhere. And even the road, even the highway looked older. And then eventually everything somehow, I guess, transitioned back to normal. And the highway looked normal again, and all the cars, looked more current again. So it's like they had a slip into the past, possibly. I get, but not just. It's basically the past, but maybe even before. Who knows? Before they were born, possibly. So.
Yeah, that's wild too. So there's a couple ways here we're kind of talking about how maybe these things happen. It might be by accident, like sort of one of those like ripples in space time, like something like I described, that black hole merger, like we were talking about on the news show today. Maybe when they finally merge and it just sends these huge ripples out into space time, these huge waves, that maybe it does jostle the time spaces together and sort of accidentally. Maybe that's what time slips are, or maybe these huge cosmic events that we don't really notice until you're in the present day. You turn your head and then boom, you're not for a second, right, or a few seconds or whatever it happens to be. It's like snap your fingers twice and then you're back, and you thought you were dreaming. I could see something like that, like kind of inadvertent style. But what about the next version, in that maybe it's intentional? Maybe people are remote viewing and actually trying to make these things happen. Pretty wild thoughts, my man.
It is, yeah, and I'd say that both of those are possible, especially like you said. I like the idea. I hadn't thought of that earlier about the first story, about maybe this person in the future just really focusing intently on the past and on their own lives in the past, and that's how somehow they were able to come back and recognize everything, the way it was.
Yeah, exactly. So, And I think we've all done that, right? Focused on the past for whatever reason, like just wish we played this better, or reminiscing for a good time when we had family that is now passed on, things like this. So I wonder if those moments where you feel like a presence is there, like we've talked about ghosts, you do the paranormal podcast, like maybe it's some of that sort of thing is us from the future remembering ourselves in particular times,
Could be, yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Definitely. Right on.
There's all kinds of possibilities. I know I used to think of ghosts strictly as, spirits of people that had passed on, but the more and more I looked into it, and then finding this show, and there's so many options of what could be happening in any given situation. So I love that, and love the show and the topic. So. Right on. Love you too, brother. Love you too, brother. I appreciate all the work you're doing, and thanks for all the enthusiasm, and thanks for always chiming in when I need you. You can always sense it. James is like, I got you, Mike. I got you. Appreciate that very much. James here has a podcast called Salcedo Paranormal. Give him some love. Link is in the description. Give him a follow. Go listen to his podcast. He's doing great work over there talking about paranormal stuff. Like I said, 5 nights a week. Thank you so much, James. I appreciate it, brother. Always a pleasure. Oh, thank you, and sorry about the tech stuff there.
That happens. It's a live show, man. It happens. I'm going to mess something up in a minute here, too. Watch. Hold my beer. Have a great night,
take care.
Thanks, James. You too. Yeah. All right, so that's what we're talking about tonight. This idea. What about these time devices, right? So let's get back to this. Thanks again to James for the phone call. Still taking your calls. What's your idea here? Do you think this is actually real? Do you think it's possible to somehow contact yourself from the future or the past? And do you think that maybe a device is involved? Of something like, well, let's get back to this idea of the Chronovisor. Yeah, you got it. And this is for real. This is an actual Wikipedia entry of the Chronovisor. In the early 1960s, Ernetti began to study the writings of Francois Brune, himself a Roman Catholic priest and author. Ernetti allegedly ended up helping Brune construct the machine, the Chronovisor, as members of a team which included 12 world-famous scientists. He identified 2 of them as Enrico Fermi and Werner von Braun, like we said. The Chronovisor was described as a large cabinet with a cathode ray tube for viewing the received events and a series of buttons, levers, and other controls for selecting the time and location to be viewed. It could also locate and track specific individuals. According to its inventor, it worked by receiving, decoding, and reproducing the electromagnetic radiation left behind from past events. It could also pick up the audio component or sound waves emitted by these same events. Ernetti lacked hard evidence for these claims. He said he had observed, among other historical events, Christ's crucifixion and photographed it as well. A potential copy of this image appeared in the May 2nd, 1972 issue of La Domenica del Corriere, an Italian weekly news magazine, pardon my French. A near identical mirror image photograph, however, of a wood carving by the sculptor Lorenzo Colat Valera turned up and succeeded in casting doubt upon Ernetti's statement. Which, of course, right? When you have a big story like this with the Chronovisor, where you're able to peer into the past, into the future, and be able to see things, well, you better have some rock solid evidence, right? But of course, so the story goes that this thing got hidden down in the Vatican Archive. It got buried underground, and of course, like we said, we're talking to James there, that you would expect that if this sort of technology kind of came to light, it would change everything. And, well, some people don't want everything changed. And the first people to create this would probably, right, not roll it out to the world in some sort of press conference. They would try and exploit the idea, right? Yeah, that's the thing. Still looking to hear from you. Do you think it's possible, all the idea of maybe communicating through time? Fabled time devices, a timeless communication, 702-957-1037. Let's go to Robert in Pennsylvania. We got a couple minutes, man, and I can hold you over after the break. Welcome to Troubled Minds. Go right ahead.
Morning. Wait a minute. It's evening.
Good evening, sir.
Sorry, I thought I was time traveling there for a second. I was just. This is one of my favorite topics. Physicists tell us that thoughts are not faster than light, and I disagree with that. Common thoughts, average thoughts, probably not. But we have the ability to speed up, our thoughts, to accelerate them to where they can go from here to the end of the universe if you wanted to. All right, so I really don't even understand how physicists can determine the speed of thought to begin with, right? But the very fact that in my opinion, thoughts are faster than light, that indicates that thoughts can travel both backward in time and forward in time.
Okay, I think
that means
that sounds great. It sounds sound to me. Go ahead. Like about one more minute, and then, like I said, I can hold you over.
I'd like to be held over.
You got it.
What that means is that I can communicate with myself at any period of my past life and any period of my future, because my thoughts are traveling faster than the speed of light. If I accelerate it, if I push it, it can be done.
Okay. I like the idea, and I don't disagree. Like I said, I think that idea itself, it's sound in terms of, like, if you're remote viewing, right? You can snap your fingers and you're there. You don't have to take the time to travel by the speed of light. You're instantly there. So if that's the way that works, then clearly I like your idea that you cannot track the speed of thought. It seems to be faster than the fastest thing in the universe, doesn't it?
Yes, and I'm wondering about the monk or priest or whatever who supposedly created this device that can see the past, right? And he claimed that he saw the crucifixion of Christ. He revealed this in 1960 to a friend, I guess, Well, how come he didn't use it to try to get into the Dealey Plaza in Dallas and find out who the heck killed John F. Kennedy?
That's a good question. I think that since it was so religious-based and it got buried in the Vatican, they were more interested in proving the Bible real. Maybe they got there. I don't know. As you know, my friend, we're out of time. We're here with Robert in Pennsylvania. Hang tight, my friend. We'll be right back to grab you. You know the drill. We'll be back in a few minutes, and thanks for calling. Be right back, putting you on mute. All right, so here's the deal. We're talking about this idea tonight of these time devices. We're talking about the Chronovisor, which clearly, well, maybe. We'll talk about this in terms of maybe. But Robert's got some great ideas here. We're going to get right back to him. We're still looking to hear from you as well. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. Don't go anywhere. More Troubled Minds, fabled time devices, and timeless communication when we return. Be right back. We are talking about the alien abduction phenomenon.
The aliens are looking through your eyes and they're accessing your optic nerve. I'm doing fantastic. Through that optic nerve, they're transferring to your brain. People are random images as they traverse neurons in the brain.
So maybe,
and they also feel them planting or receiving memories or ideas or images.
Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness.
good evening and welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and hello to all of you who may also have troubled minds. What's going on, guys? This is the show where we get together Monday through Thursday, 7 p.m. Pacific, and talk about all the things we're not allowed to talk about. You know what those things are: aliens, conspiracy, the paranormal, the government, academia, the 24-hour news cycle, propaganda, and the general feeling that we live in the upside down. We are streaming on Rockfin, YouTube, D-Live, and Twitter. We are broadcasting live on the Fringe FM, and we're taking your phone calls tonight as we discuss the idea of not just traveling through time, but what about mentally traveling through time? What about contacting your past self or your future self, or being able to view events of the past or future, maybe even not related to you at all? There's this thing called the Chronovisor that is said to have been a machine built in and housed in the Vatican, where they were able to view the crucifixion of Jesus Christ, including different other maybe historical, notable biblical times, right? We'll get into some of those things they claim to have actually seen, but that's the question tonight. As we do all this, of course, we're taking your phone calls at 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037, and we'll put you on the show. And it's as simple as that. You can click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. Also, please join the Discord at fringe.fm/chat and download the Fringe app. It's the easiest way to listen to Troubled Minds, Monday through Thursday, 7 p.m. Pacific. Fringe app you can find on not just the Android App Store, but also iTunes. It's completely free, and just smash the play button, 705, you'll find us. All right, let's go back to Robert. Thanks for being patient, my friend. Robert in Pennsylvania, welcome back to Troubled Minds. You were on to something right as we had to take a break, unfortunately, but welcome back. So you were saying that the thought itself travels faster than light, meaning that it is possible somehow for our ideas and our thoughts to maybe travel through time, through the past or the future, to maybe even contact ourselves. Go right ahead, sir. Welcome back.
And you hit on it right there with your last sentence. As you know, in my book, there's a story in that book called Snow Globe, which is 100% on what you're talking about right now, all right, where the main character winds up sending a desperate message to his past self, all right? What you may not realize is that that particular story was predicated on something personal that happened to me, all right? I mean, you know, I fancied up the story and things like that, but basically, I believe my future self got in touch with me and when I was in my early 30s. And do you have time for me to tell you the story?
We got time for you, my friend. You waited for me through the break. I've got time for you. Go right ahead.
Okay. Now, me and my wife were young married. We just had become parents, a little girl, but we were both, you know, young and both of us very strong-willed. I had a definite idea what I should do as a husband and father, and she had her own idea of what I should do as a husband and father. And it got really difficult, and there was a period where she left, took the kid with her, filed for divorce, all right, and it was just one of the ugliest periods of my life anyway. It was horrible. But there came a time, I'm sitting in my office at work, and this is sometime later, I would say probably about 8 months, and I got a call in my office, and it was my wife, and she wanted to come back home. And I was damn determined. I didn't want that trouble no more. All right? I mean, I was absolutely certain that it's going to say no. But something came over me at that moment. It was like a dread, a cold, awful dread, like I've never experienced in my life, that I was about to do something that would be disastrous, you know, telling her no. And in my mind, what I was seeing was myself, my future self, somewhere like in ages of maybe late 40s, early 50s, in a bar, hopelessly drunk, all right? In other words, what I'm trying to say is what I was seeing was myself as somebody who had completely crashed, all right? And sending a signal back to me, you're making a mistake, don't do this, all right? It will not end well. So, and that really what I was hearing is don't do it, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it, all right? So against my will or my personal determination, I let her come back home. And I had to tell you, it was the best decision I ever made in my life, all right, because it all got worked out, all right? Everything just got worked out. But that's why I wrote that story, because I am convinced that my older self, my future self, was was in distress and desperate, and sending a signal back, trying to change the past. And of course, the only way you can change your personal past is to get in touch with yourself in that past and to communicate. And I believe that's what happened.
From the future. So your future self was smashed in a bar, like literally wallowing in misery, thinking about the past so hard that you wanted it back. You were able to tap into yourself in the past and change your own mind. That's wild, man. I love it. I love the concept.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, I'm convinced that that it happened. because the reason I'm so convinced is because of the dread. All right, hearing that in my head, don't do it, and that dread, that the horror that of making a decision of no. And how would I know that? How would I know the outcome would be so severe, so tragic if I said no? Something communicated with me. Something told me, don't do it. Take her back. All right? And like I said, it was the best decision of my life. So that means that future me, all right, as who's late 40s, early 50s, which I'm beyond now, never made it to that bar. That never happened in the future to him.
Which is fantastic. So again, that, like they say, time is a flat circle. And so if you're able to somehow tap into that idea of a future self or your past self, you can help yourself. I love it, man. And I love how you framed it when we started tonight, saying that thought itself is faster than the speed of light. It has to be. Otherwise, how could we even conceive of, abstract notions that are billions of light years away, right? We're able to put our mind in that place. Go ahead.
It proves something else too, Mike.
Sure.
It proves that time is an illusion. Okay? There's something that I forget what philosopher I read in college that had a line of, where the mind goes, the body must follow. All right? If time's an illusion, which physicists are saying it is, if time's an illusion, then that means that the only barrier to traveling in time is our belief that we can't.
I see. So the key is actually within us. We just refuse to unlock it.
Yeah. I'm saying that anybody out there listening, take a look at your life. All right? If it's manageable, fine. All right? But if you're in a dire situation in your life, all right, and you know it, if you could go back in time and change a single thing that you did that may have caused you to slip down into whatever situation that you're in, you can send a signal back to yourself. I mean, you have to it really has to be that urgent, because you're accelerating your thought. You just can't calmly sit back and think to yourself, I'm communicating with Joe when he was 18. All right, you have to accelerate. You have to pump up that thought. And that usually comes from a situation where you feel a desperation. All right, that's how you pump it up. And kick that back into time, into that younger person's mind, and see if you can change the past. Because I am absolutely sure that whatever that was an awful future I was going to enter, and my older self got back to me and changed the past.
I love it. I love the story, and I do love Robert's book. The actual short story in his book is called Snow Globe. Very, very good stuff. He doesn't call to plug his book. He never does, and he gets mad when I do it. I'm going to do it for him anyway. He wrote a book called Stories from a Fractured Mind, the Robert Collection. I always put the link in the description. He's been a good friend of mine for a long time, always contributes to the show. I appreciate it very much. Give him some love, and go check out that book. He did send me a couple copies, full disclosure. I read one, and it's amazing. You're the best, Robert. What else you got for us tonight?
There's the other side, and that's being seen in the future. All right? And that comes to where the mind goes, the body must follow. If you concentrate on your future and where you want it to go, all right, if you pump that thought up, all right, what happens is you have to get there, because the mind is in control. It's the one. It's the shortwave radio. It's the thing that can traverse time. All right, and it sends a signal to your future self that gets your body to where you want it to be. I think that may be kind of confusing to people. It isn't to me, but I just want to put that out there before this call ends.
Perfect. Great advice. I appreciate your insight as always. Amazing stuff. Always a pleasure, my friend. You are the best.
Look at your show.
Yeah.
Right? Look where you've come. Well, look where you've come.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Right?
It's crazy.
Because you looked into the future. And now your body went there. Your whole mind, body went and created what you only thought about, wanted.
You're correct.
In the past.
You were correct. And again, it's strange, right? So like us, we meet in sort of this circumstance. You find me some randomly on the internet when this show was like nothing, and like now we've blown up. It's crazy. And I got to say, I want to give you a double thank you for also sending the email, pushing me to get on Rockfin, leaving Facebook and getting on Rockfin was probably one of the best things that ever happened to this show. So double thank you, Robert, for
but you need to realize, all right, that you created all those things. All right, my getting on, winding up, suddenly tuning into one of your shows sometime back. All right, in order for everything else to happen, that had to happen. All right, but that's you deciding before even then that you wanted to get to a certain place. All right, so all the things that had to come into place. You manifested it. All right. Remember what you just said. You requested that the people that follow you send an email. All right. Wasn't my idea. Wasn't their idea. It was your idea. All right. And so, because you knew what needed to be done, not me, not anybody else. You did. You manifested it. That's all on your shoulders.
All right. No pressure. No pressure. Just keep on doing the best we can, Robert. You're the best, brother. You are the best.
Talk to you later, Michael.
Have a great night. Have a great
night now.
Thanks a lot. That's Robert. Robert in Pennsylvania. We call him affectionately the Robert. You can again find his book, link in the description. Stories from a Fractured Mind, the Robert collection. The story we're referencing is called Snow Globe, and a very personal story for him. And every time I think about time travel and I think about contacting yourself, or maybe your future or past self contacting you for some reason or another, my mind always goes back to Robert in that story, because like he said, he's convinced. He said, no, there's no doubt about it. I did this. I was able to actually do this through my grief and my misery from my future self. Don't make those mistakes. Don't do it, Robert. He was able to go back to him and change a decision that he was about to make the biggest mistake of his life. It was so very, very good stuff. Like I said, it's hard for me to think of time travel anymore without thinking of Robert and his story there. So fantastic stuff. I appreciate the phone call. Thanks for filling us in on that. What we're doing tonight is talking about this idea of being able to speak to yourself or other entities, or even peer through this maybe time haze, time fog, meaning that we're all stuck in our own time slice that we cannot escape. Okay, fine. We're not Marty McFly. We don't have a DeLorean. We don't have a Doc Brown. All the rest of that stuff, okay? We don't have that stuff. But what if we don't need it, and we can somehow, maybe through the power of the mind or a device, peer through that fog of time into another time, and maybe the past or maybe the future? Is that possible? That's what's on my mind tonight. What's up? Algorithm in the chat. The good friend of mine, Mike in Colorado. Everybody give Algorithm a follow on YouTube, pretty please. I'll get a link for you in a second, put it in the chat. But that's what we're talking about tonight. We're considering this idea that, is this possible? And if it is, right, well, how do you do this? Is this linked to that remote viewing idea? Is it linked to some sort of device like this Chronovisor? We'll get back to the Chronovisor in just a sec. But that's the idea tonight. The question is it possible? Have you ever seen something like this happen? And that's what we're doing. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. We'll put you on the show. It's as easy as that. Let's go back to the Chronovisor real quick. Now, this is pretty wild. This is a long one. This is from allthat'sinteresting.com, and this is the long version of this story. If you've never heard of this, it's worth reading the entire thing. I'm not going to read the whole thing because I'll bore you to tears. I'll just give you the briefs here. But the idea is, again, that they created this machine, all right? And again, we're talking Wernher von Braun. We're talking Enrico Fermi, right? Two very, very, very famous people that these names keep coming up. Wernher von Braun, of course, was the Project Paperclip, the Nazi scientist that came and built the Saturn V rocket. Was instrumental in taking us to the Apollo missions to the moon. That sort of thing. Enrico Fermi was, of course, a famed physicist known for the Fermi Paradox. All right, meaning that he says that, well, if the aliens are out there and mathematically they should be, his sort of idea was that they should be everywhere. So how come we don't see them? So the Fermi Paradox just means, hey, it's very famous in the extraterrestrial circles in the sense of, well, if they should be everywhere, how come we don't see them? So it's like this idea that they're here, but they're not here. So what the hell is really going on, right? That's Enrico Fermi. But okay, so we got these two super brains locked into this story here. It gets crazier. Made of cathode rays, antenna, and metals that receive sound and light signals on all wavelengths, the Chronovisor purportedly allowed the team of scientists to document events of the past, including the crucifixion of Jesus Christ. The machine, therefore, could validate the teachings of the Bible simply by providing a first-hand look into the past. All right, let's see. Here we go. All right, so he had been, hold on. So Enretti claimed that he and a group of renowned scientists came together in a mutual quest to uncover the past. And let's see, what are the other things here? They called it a direction finder on the device, was allegedly tuned into the specific era one wanted to view while a screen displayed it and a recording device captured the footage. So they said they were actually able to go back in time through this device, not only witness historical events, but then also somehow record them. And not only that, this device is still housed in the Vatican Archive today. And that's what's going on with this. So I don't know. That's the question tonight. Do you think this is even possible? I've got some more crazy stories about this same idea of, is it possible to peer through the fog of time into the past or into the future, either through some sort of device or maybe, like we're describing, like Robert said, is it just your thoughts that can do this? Meaning that, as he said, and I think it's a brilliant way to put it, if thoughts can travel faster than the speed of light, then for sure they can time travel, right? Because isn't that the idea? The whole, the twins, the rockets and the twins that they've talked about with relativity, right? You put the twin stays here, one goes on a rocket, goes 99% the speed of light for a week and comes back and 10 years have passed. So the one twin's 10 years older, but the other twin is just a week older. So I mean, that's relativity. That's real. That's been literally proven by satellites in space and the rest of that stuff. But then the question becomes, if we're saying that the universal speed limit is the speed of light, and if your thoughts can travel faster, then why wouldn't they be able to time travel? Why not? Why the hell not, right? I mean, we got here, didn't we? So we're going to keep on talking about this. So what are your thoughts? What do you think about this? Do you have an experience where maybe you thought you got a message from your past or your future self? Have you tried to commune with your past self? Have you tried to maybe tap into the future somehow through any sort of remote viewing? Or do you think all of this, by the way, maybe you think all this is a bunch of hogwash? That's okay. We're here just having a conversation, talking about things. And as always, it doesn't matter what I believe. It matters what you believe. So love to hear your ideas here. If you want to be part of the show, give me a call. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. And we'll put you on the show. Easy peasy as that. You can also click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. And, well, what do you believe? As always, it comes down to not what I believe. It comes down to what you believe. We're talking about these time devices and timeless communication. Possible or nah? 702-957-1037. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Don't go anywhere. More Chronovisor and crazy time stories when we return. Be right back. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and we are streaming on Rockfin, YouTube, DLive, and Twitter, and we are broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. That's digital radio. And, of course, we're taking your phone calls. If you want to be part of the show tonight, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Do you think it's possible to actually communicate with yourself, past or present? Meaning, can you reach out through the fog of time and contact your future self or your past self? And do you think it takes some sort of device, or do you think you can do it with the power of your mind alone? One more time, that's 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037, and we'll put you on the show. So we're talking about this idea of, again, like Robert framed this extremely well when he called in a little ways back and said that our thoughts actually travel faster than the speed of light, meaning we're not measuring our thought in a race. Our thought, you can snap your fingers and put your thought ahead of that light beam, right? Bam, we're there. We don't even have to wait. You want to be there, you can be there. And as he said, as the mind goes, the body follows. So what does that mean? What does that mean for all the rest of this? It seems like there's a lot here. What's up? What's going on? Tinfoil Timothy, give him a follow as well. I'll get his link and share it in a sec. What's up, Tim? How are you, my man? Says war, rumors of war, and lizard sweets, and of course, aliens from Zeta Reticuli. Amen to that. All right, so what do you think about this idea of these time devices? Okay, we're talking about the Chronovisor tonight, which is we beat that dead horse a little bit. There's more information here that we could talk about and get into this, but there's also this other story that I want to introduce to you guys that maybe you haven't heard of. This is one, again, being in conspiracy land, I've been doing a talk show 4 years in April, by the way, which is the first week of April, which I'm very proud of. But the thing is this, right? I've gone through all these stories, and you think you've seen it all, you think you've heard it all, and at some point you're like, well, maybe I haven't. And let me, I got a call coming in. We'll take this in just a sec. I see you there. And this is the thing. I'm going to just introduce this story real quick, and then we will take this phone call. Give me just one sec. I see you there. I think that's Mike. Okay, so this is the thing, right? There's this story called, yeah, you got that. This is crazy. Hold on. What is the name of this? Oh, my goodness gracious. The Doddleston Messages, the Doddleston Messages. And so this story goes, just in brief, that they thought they were actually being contacted from the past through their computer. All right. Here's the idea. That's what we're talking about. So I'll get to that story and fill you in on the details, but I'd rather hear from you. 702-957-1037. Put you on the show just like this. Let's go to Mike in Colorado. Algorithm. Welcome to Troubled Minds, my friend. How are you tonight?
Hey, thank you so much for taking my call. I'm doing good. One thing, thank you for the shout out. It's not necessary, but I appreciate it. You're very gracious.
Thank you. You do the same for me. I appreciate you very much. Thank you, sir.
Cool. So we have memory, but we can't really find it in the brain. And they say there's a memory center, and they try to activate memories, and they can't really do that. So we experience memory, but we don't know from where it comes. I wonder if the way that we can make an electronic device that picks up EVP, it's kind of the same thing to me in the mind. I mean, it's kind of the same way that it works to me. So if we can pick up EVP through an electronic device, we don't know where that comes from. And if we can pick up memory, if we have memory, but we don't know where it comes from, maybe they could pick it up at the device.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. I mean, why not? Think about that in terms of, you just said EVPs, which is electronic voice phenomenon. For people that don't know, it's where the ghost hunters fire up the little recorder and try and go get whispers in the dark, right? That sort of thing. But maybe those whispers in the dark they're recording are us from these other places trying to like whisper to ourselves, right? That would make a ton of sense to me.
Yeah, so, and one of your chatters she hit on where memory really is from. It's in everything. Water has memory, according to Dr. Emoto and other studies, and maybe this memory thing exists everywhere, and then we just have to pick out a device that allows us to access it, and our technology is slowly getting to that point. Maybe that's the case.
Yeah, it wouldn't.
Or they had the
surprise me.
technology before and they're hiding it from us.
Yeah, that's again, that probably wouldn't surprise me either. I mean, like I said, you got to imagine, and you know this as well as I do. If they created this wouldn't be like at every corner 7-Eleven right now. This would be like hidden in some vault that, like, you know, the elites are playing with, right? They're tinkering with our timelines and stuff, you know. So clearly, if this exists, we're not going to see this for a very, very long time. Till all those sickos get everything they want, right? Which may be the end of the world. I mean, you got to admit, the last weekend has been stressful a little bit, right? You've been watching the news at all?
Oh yeah, I keep a pretty close eye. It's kind of crazy out there, and I hope that as we navigate all this nonsense, that, you know, we keep our friends close, we keep our family closer, we're kind to strangers, and because who knows, but. When you were talking about that as far as it being on every 7-Eleven corner, I think it's almost probable that it does exist just from the EVP thing that I've experienced that, and I believe it's like a thing. I don't think it's fake. I don't think it's, you know, and I've read books on it, and it seems to be an actual thing. So I think it's probably like 95 to 98% very probable that there is technology that can access memory out of the ether or out of water or out of cells, or, you know, so it's no big shock to me. That's the track I'm going on, and I appreciate you taking my call. If you have any other thoughts, let me know.
Yeah. Well, other than, have you heard of this idea of the Chronovisor, where they have this like machine buried in the basement of the Vatican where they can kind of like, see into the past? Have you heard of this thing?
I have, and the very first time I did, the person who was talking about it was referencing the movie called The Philadelphia Experiment.
Ah, yes.
And I don't know if you've seen that movie.
I have. It was a long time ago, but I've seen it, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really old. I rewatched it recently on a Saturday night. I had nothing to do, and I watched it on Odyssey. And it was the guy from Eddie and the Cruisers, which surprised me. I forgot he was even in that, but it's a pretty good movie for when it was made. 84, I think it was made. But when the person was talking about the Chronovisor, at first it was like, I was thinking, what are you talking about? And then he went into some anecdotal experiences that other people had shared who had access to it.
Which
So yeah, I think it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, definitely. And these stories again, like, is there something to it? I don't know. I don't have answers. I wish I had answers, but that's why we get together and do this. You're the best, my friend. Everybody give Mike here in Colorado, a good friend of mine, a follow. Algorithm. I'll link it back in the chat. Thank you so much for the phone call. Thanks for listening. You're the best, my friend.
Yeah, take care, my friend. We'll see you later.
Thanks a lot. Have a great night. There you go. Easy as that. If you want to be part of the show, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037, and we'll put you on the show. And the idea is this, right? Can we somehow, through either our own brain or through some device, sort of poke through the ether, the fog of time, and maybe communicate to our past self, to our present self, not to our present self. We're doing that right now, aren't we? To our past or future self. Is it possible to be able to do this, or even, let's say, see the past that has nothing related to us, like this Chronovisor idea or this Doddleston Messages, which we're going to get to in just a sec. So love to hear your thoughts on this. Is this possible? That's the whole question tonight. What's up, Night Stalker? This is wild because of all the crazy conspiracy stuff you could be talking about or rolling into. Night Stalker, what's up? Derek in Massachusetts in the chat says, I was just listening to a thing about the Doddleston Messages today. Haha, true story. The book is called The Vertical Plane, and that is correct, and we're going to get to that in a sec as we continue tonight. One more time, 702-957-1037. Thanks again to Algorithm. I'm going to link his YouTube. Please give him a follow if you have not already. There you go. Link is in the chat. Let's roll. Let's go to Jack in Oregon. Welcome to Troubled Minds, my friend. Go right ahead.
Hey, Mike.
Good evening.
Yeah, so it's an interesting subject. I'm into it. My personal opinion is that everybody does this all day long, every day. That's how we progress through the day. Everybody.
Okay, sort of like we're sort of wrestling to stay in the present, meaning that we're always thinking of the future, always thinking of the past, and as a result, somehow we are sort of dipping our toes in those same ideas at the same time, right? Those same, maybe through that fog of time like I'm describing, something like that?
Yeah, you can call it a fog of time, or just it's like waking up in the morning and you go through your day. You know, you're kind of predicting what's going to happen. You get a feeling about it. You're thinking about the past and what happened and how to make decisions and that kind of thing, you know?
Yeah, I like it. I like it. So we're always time traveling in small doses, aren't we?
Right. Yeah. And I don't know, maybe they have a machine that does it in a longer span or something. But what I've been thinking about myself here lately, or what I'm kind of into a little bit, is what I call flow states.
Okay.
You know, when things are going really good, and it kind of catches, like everybody catches the flow state that you're in, and everybody's having a good day, that kind of thing.
Okay, I'm with you.
Right. So, have you ever played baseball and had like a line drive hit right towards your face?
Yeah.
Snag it?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
They knuckle.
Well, when it starts getting towards your face, you know, the time kind of slows down and everything. You're like, how the hell did I do that?
It's sort of like you slowed it down to make it happen, right?
Yeah. Well, there's some scientific experiment where they show pictures to people, and some of them are scary and some of them are nice, and somehow, like the electrodes that are connected to them, the electroencephalograph or whatever, it like registers before the person actually is conscious of it.
Yeah. It's same thing with like when there's like a traumatic experience, like a car accident or things like this, right? It's like we sort of have that ability within us to slow things down sort of naturally, right? It's supposed to be like an adrenaline thing, which means though, in those particular moments, whatever they are, like I said, maybe the line drives hit right at you, the ball starts to knuckle and you freak out a sec, but then like there's something in you that slows things down just enough where you can, right, like maybe make the catch or dodge the bullet, or, you know, the proverbial bullet, not a real bullet, that sort of thing, right? But the crazy part about what you're describing is that means it's a skill. It means that, like, let's say the best athletes that can make those catches on a regular basis more than everybody else, then they've learned how to maybe slow time down, right? That whole locked-in flow state you're describing, right?
Right. That's why I'm saying we all do it. We all do it, and it does take practice, huh?
Yeah, I would think so. And so, you know, sort of being able to lock out the rest of the noise around you, and sort of maybe like a Zen state even, you know, sort of like focus on the only thing that matters in that moment. And maybe it is actually, instead of seeming like time slows down, maybe we're able to, through our consciousness, actually slow it down for just a moment, you know? I'm willing to buy that 100%.
Well, not actually slow it down. I think it's more like time travel, like you're talking about. Well, I look at it as kind of like maybe a cross between Dark City and Groundhog Day or something, somewhere in there.
That's right. I like Groundhog Day. There's nothing wrong with that movie. No, yeah, okay. So I see what you're saying. So what about devices, though? Have you heard of this Chronovisor? Do you think that it's possible that somebody has created a device somewhere to be able to do something similar, where they can peer into the past and maybe see the Gettysburg Address or something like this?
No, maybe if it's like the whole Hindu thing with the Akashic records and that kind of thing. If they got that, then they're probably doing it. But other than that, I mean, what you'd want to do is, it seems to me like it'd be possible to reverse engineer it just by observing people.
Yeah, Yeah, that makes sense. I think, like I always say, right? Probably the best way to learn is just to watch people and watch things, and just lock in, and pay attention. You know how I became a pro radio host, Jack? Listening to other people.
How?
Just listening to other people. Just observing. Just like I used to be a professional driver, and I had the radio on all the time, listening to people doing talk radio. And I'm not saying I'm the best, but I'm saying that like I was listening enough to be. I was like, these guys got nothing. I can do this, right? Because I learned the tricks from them, and then here we are. Just pilfer a trick here and there, and a little bit of practice, time, and pressure. And you know how you get to Carnegie Hall, don't you? Practice. Practice. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I don't know, Mike. I think you got a little something more than that going on. I think you got a little connect happening, but that's just my own opinion.
I appreciate that.
Well, thanks for letting me call in again.
Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure, Jack. You're welcome anytime. You are welcome anytime.
Yeah.
Have a great night. Thanks for listening. Right. Thanks for calling. Thanks a lot. There you go, Jack in Oregon, and this is what I'm saying. Like this is what I mean, right? We have a lot of friends of this show that call in and literally bail me out every single night, bailing me out. And there we go. So if you want to be part of the show, 702-957-1037. Let's get to this stuff real quick, right? Now this idea of these, what is this called again? One moment. This is called the Doddleston Messages. Now listen to this. This is pretty wild, and this kind of goes back to that Chronovisor idea, or this Doddleston Messages. It's like this. This is from a Reddit thread. Links in the description, of course, down below on YouTube. Here's where it goes. This is the brief. Beginning in 1984, a Doddleston economics teacher called Ken Webster began receiving mysterious messages saved as documents on his home computer. Remember, we're talking 1984. That's super rare because we're talking way pre-internet. So like things were just like happening on his computer, like it was tapped into something else, right? Not the internet, clearly. So let's see. So these documents on his home computer were from someone claiming to be from the 16th century. These supposed missives from the past continued on and off for a further 2 years, and were eventually joined by messages from yet another sender claiming to be from the year 2109, before these messages finally stopped in 1986. The strange series of events is covered in the most recent episode of the Unexplained podcast. It's got a link here. And also, what was that name of that the novel, actually? Let's see, Night Stalker said in the chat. I got it here somewhere, too. I got it somewhere here too. The name of the novel is, hold on, let's see. It is called, I can't remember. Anyway, I'll tell you that in just a sec. Anyway, so here it is. So this is their take on Reddit. My gut feeling is that the whole thing was some sort of hoax. The supposed 16th century writer's name kept changing. He got Henry VIII's age wrong, and the supposed future correspondents were extremely evasive when asked to prove themselves by answering some straightforward math questions for which we know they should have had answers. So this is this guy's take on Reddit here, but this is kind of deep, right? It's one of those things where, okay, so is this a hoax? If it's a hoax, that's fine, because there's all kinds of hoaxes out there. They continue to be hoaxes, and there will continue to be hoaxes. But if you're getting stories from the past. I don't know. What was the name of this individual? Oh, The Vertical Plane is the name of this book. Here we go. As detailed in Ken's book, The Vertical Plane, the first signs of not just paranormal activity in the cottage began early. Ken writes that he noticed a peculiar set of spindly, six-toed footprints that seemed to walk directly up the wall and through the ceiling. Chalking them up to grime in an old house, he painted over them, only to have them reappear the following day. Shortly afterward, Debbie, Ken, and Nick began routinely discovering cans, bottles, and various other small household goods stacked in precarious towers, sometimes reaching over 4 feet high. The trio figured that it must be a housewarming prank, courtesy of their local friends, and though they were unsettled, they quickly put these strange trash configurations out of their minds, right? And so think about, I think back to that 82 movie or whatever, Poltergeist, right? Where, Carol Ann, stay away from the light. I wish I had that clip because I'd play it and freak you guys out. But so remember in that, there were things being stacked, like they stacked the chairs and they were doing weird stuff in that movie as well. But here we go. So 2 months after the strange poem appeared on their computer, Ken, Nick, and Debbie returned from a drive to find a mysterious computer file saved as Reate, R-E-A-T-E. Within they found a message: "What strange words thou speak, although I must confess that I hath also been ill-schooled. Sometimes methinks alterations are somewhat barful, and they break many asleeps in mine bed. I hath seen many alterations, lastly charge house and thy home. 'Tis a fitting place with lights which devil maketh." Uh-oh. Uh-oh. So this gets weirder. This gets weirder, right? So this individual is supposedly contacting these people from the past through their computer, all right? And again, remember, back in 1984, there was no internet, and computers were like sort of read-only floppy disks, and they had read-only and write floppy disks. It was a messy time for computers, right? And this computer in particular, it was borrowed from the school. He didn't even have his own, so he was like super freaking out that he had broken it or something. It's a little bit of a weird story. Again, it's called the Doddlestone Messages. And if you've never heard of this, I just found this tonight kind of randomly, kind of poking around about trying to find some ideas of, what to talk about with regard to this, sort of speaking to individuals in or out of time. And so what's happening here, interestingly, they cited the devil, lights, and the devil. Interesting. So I don't know. So what is this about? Again, I don't know. As always, I'm just a knucklehead on the internet with a microphone. Don't take anything I say as fact. Like I said, drinking the maybe juice means what it means. Back to Aristotle, entertaining a thought is without accepting it is the mark of an educated mind, right? And that's all we're doing. We're just entertaining these thoughts. What do you think? Do you think it's possible to be able to communicate in or out of your own time frame, right? Through that fog of time to the future, the past, or anywhere in between? Love to hear your thoughts on this as we continue tonight. We're going to keep on trucking. We're going to go into a third hour. I see you there, Joseph. Hang tight. So I don't want to cut you off. So I'm going to come to you as soon as we get into the third hour. So just a couple minutes and I'll get right to you. But I don't know. I think that's the thing, right? Regarding all this stuff, back to what Robert said, I think it's important to note that do thoughts actually outpace the speed of light? And if they do, we know that the speed of light itself is a time-traveling mechanism, okay? That's the whole point, right? Meaning that the whole, the rocket, the paradox of time travel, there's so much to this. And so, well, the question becomes, is it possible to communicate in or out of your own time frame with, well, your future or past self, or even maybe witness other events like, the crucifixion of Jesus, or maybe the Gettysburg Address, or whatever, right? Whatever time frame you want to visit, is it possible that we visit at all? And that's where we're going to have to leave it tonight, because we're out of time here on The Fringe. So as you guys know, it goes a little something like this. If you're listening to us on The Fringe FM, stay tuned for Lighting the Void with Joe Roop. And then, of course, after that's going to be The Secret Teachings with Ryan Gable. If you're listening to us on any other platform, including the podcast feed, stay tuned for a third hour of Troubled Minds. And we're going to keep taking your calls. We got Joseph on the line, and we'll get to him in just a sec. So it ends a little exactly something like this. Do you want to help the show spread the word? That's the deal. Spread the word. We can beat the algorithms with word of mouth. Old school still works, and we're still going to do it that way. I do it that way. You can do it that way. And like I always say, I'm me, you're you, together we're us, and I mean it. Diversity is a strength, and I mean it. I mean it. All right. So as we finish, the bad news is we're done. The good news is, God willing, we've got tomorrow, Monday through Thursday, 7 p.m. Pacific. Be sure, be strong, be true. Thank you for listening. From our troubled minds to yours, have a great night. Hot damn, I'm good. Down to the second. Get off the radio clock to the second. 9 o'clock clicks. Boop. Off. Yeah. No accident. Excellence is not an accident, I'll tell you that. All right. Here's the deal, right? Now that I stop bragging on myself. We got Joseph on the phone. We're going to go to him in just a sec. Hang tight, Joseph. We're going to take a quick 2-minute break. We're still talking about this. Is it possible to maybe communicate out of our own time, through the fog of time, pierce the veil, really get out of our own time frame, essence, whatever you want to call it, and communicate or see the past or the future, right? Many people believe so. Many people believe it's bullshit. By the way, we can start dropping F-bombs if that's your thing, because the third hour is, well, the third hour. So we're still taking your phone calls. We got Joseph on the line. We're going to get to him in just a sec. 2-minute break real fast. Quick shout out to Robert over on Rockfin, because I don't want Putin to buy up all the Bitcoin. Send me a nice tip over there. Thanks for the generous tip. And Crab Apple and Robert over on Rockfin, thank you very much for that. I appreciate it. Thanks for appreciating the community we've built and the work that's gone into this. And thanks for spending your time and energy. Like I always say, that's the way this goes. It's the most important thing. And I'm glad you guys are having a good time and vibing and all the rest of that. So thanks for hanging out. Yep, we got a third hour coming up. Don't go anywhere. 2-minute break. Third hour Trouble Minds coming up. Be right back. We got Joseph on the line. Plus, we're taking your calls. The whole idea of the third hour is to take more phone calls, less structured, no more commercial breaks. We just get together and talk. So don't go anywhere. We got Joseph on the line. Be right back. More Trouble Minds on the way. Is that 2 minutes? I don't know. I don't care. Let's roll it. Let's do it. We got Joseph waiting. Let's not make him wait any longer. 702-957-1037. This is Trouble Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're still discussing this idea of, can you somehow pierce through the fog of time and maybe communicate with the past? With the future or the past. I always want to say the present, but that makes no sense because we're in the present. Some philosophy, by the way, describes that there is no time. Time doesn't exist because only the present exists. I don't know. More mindfuck style if you want to talk about that. 702-957-1037. Let's go to Joseph in Iowa. Thank you for waiting, my friend. Welcome to Trouble Minds. Go right ahead.
Hey, so I was thinking, like, my experience was like when I passed out and woke up and I felt like I seen a whole bunch of stuff, but it was in a flash. Like, you know, it happened. Like it was kind of, I call it like time dilation or delamination or whatever. But that kind of reminds me of what you just said. Like, if we were just picking up something, like maybe it happens in a flash, like when we're just picking up something, that would be pretty. Makes me feel kind of hopeless almost, you know, because like it's already happened, you know, and you're just kind of along for the ride.
Yeah, maybe. I think that's part of why we do it like this, is because I think there's so many ways to look at the world, and that. So I guess, okay, so I see what you're saying, but also think of it this way, like to counter your thought there. Just another way to see it is that, so imagine there is the past and there is the future, but it's not determined. So being able to kind of dip into the past somehow or dip into the future, even for a brief moment, can change those trajectories, right? So I mean, I get what you're saying. That's like the deterministic view of the world and the rest of that, but it doesn't mean that it's written in stone, right? That's the whole point of like timelines and the multiverse and all the rest of that stuff. So I get it, but I'm not sure I'm sold on that, because again, right? Like, just like my ego's as big as the sun, I hate simulation theory because of that reason. I don't want to be a program. I don't want you to be a program. I want us to be individuals, right? But also, in the same sense, with time, this whole time business, I hate that deterministic point of view, in that I don't want things to be predetermined, you know, like, and we're just rolling some sort of bullshit script, right? Like, I don't want that either, man. Like, come on, like, at least give us some autonomy here, right? Holy smokes.
Yeah, and I think maybe we freed ourselves from that. Maybe it was like that, and we freed ourselves from it, possibly, and there's like different what do you call it? You would think like the ancients, like in North America, like the natives, they were definitely tapping into collectively maybe a different time. Like if we would have kept everything separated, maybe people would be living different time speeds because they evolved differently. But I forgot what I was saying.
That's okay. You got me. I got you, brother. I'll buy you a minute. So, okay. So I think you're right. And interestingly, that when you look at some of the native traditions, and we've talked about DMT and ayahuasca and things like this, right? They in the native traditions, Native American traditions, they had what they call peyote, right? And so they had these ideas like that shamanic journey, and that maybe that's what was happening. Maybe as we described, sort of. Well, like I'm describing, maybe machines are able to do this, tap into maybe the future or the past. Maybe they were doing it through hallucinogenics, which we haven't even talked about tonight. Maybe mushrooms or that DMT experience. Maybe that's exactly what our brain needs to sort of jump the shark and maybe just unlock ourselves from this timeline, which, by the way, is again, time is an abstract. What does it mean? You know what I mean? Like that's a whole nother show all by itself, just discussing what time is, trying to describe in terms of, like I said, not to be too morbid, but we're born, we live, we die. I think time is way more complicated than that. And that's why we need to talk about this, right?
Yeah, I think the trajectory change part has definitely happened. Like when I had my experience, I thought about immediately like writing it down, and then I thought about like the future and stuff in the past. Like imagine it's basically like nothing and then something, and then you write it, that would change the trajectory of nothing, to something, and then it would make it more complex when that flash never goes away or something like that,
Yeah, for sure. I think it could be all those things. And I guess so the question ends up becoming, so I think kind of we're all agreeing in that this concept is possible for sure. But I guess what we need to kind of delve into a little bit more is maybe the means of how we get there, right? Maybe it is a psychedelic experience. Maybe it is, and again, kids out there, don't do drugs. Make sure you're of legal age and they're legal in your jurisdiction. You got to say these things. but if it is like a psychedelic experience, like sort of that shamanic journey, maybe that's exactly what all that's about anyway. Maybe they knew this shit years ago, like thousands of years ago, and we're just so stupid. We're still locked into our stupid, cell phones, scrying fucking apps on Google. Right? I don't know, man.
I think we'd have to like design people in a way, not like design them like to not be people, but like we'd have to really be what do you call it? Like it would be like it would be like a training, Maybe you can live it would be a longer perception of a longer and happier life. And that would be a success, I don't know how you would measure that, but
that's
it's definitely,
that's a personal thing, isn't it? Measuring success. Yeah, for sure. That's one of those weird ones.
Yeah, but not that only, but like your perception of time in that. Like if you can, like people were talking about earlier, like if something comes at you fast, like a baseball, and you slow down time, if you could do that longer, like maybe, and then still be like functional,
Yeah, exactly. So back to that car crash scenario. You ever been in a car crash where like literally shit seems to slow the fuck down, right? And you're like it's like you are time traveling. It's like everything just goes right. It's like the damn movies, They do like the bullet time and shit. Like you get those moments of like high stress. It happens that way. It's so fucking weird. Luckily, thankfully, I've only been in a couple my whole life. I wasn't driving because I'm a magnificent driver, and I just jinxed myself. But right? There's other people driving, got in some car accidents. Cross your fingers. Lucky nobody got hurt in the ones I was involved in. But both times there was this bizarre ass slow down, like literally just like the damn movies, like bullet time. It was the craziest thing, right? It's like it was like no.
Yeah, basically what I was saying, it would be cool if you can like exercise that, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Just turn it on or turn it off, right? Yeah, I agree, man. I agree. That's pretty hot stuff. So what do you think then? So this is definitely possible. What do you think about a device that's able to do this other than just our brain? You think there's some device out there that's possible, or do you think that's just a bunch of hogwash as well?
I mean, if everything's happening like time-wise, and it's like our brain is perceiving it differently, then a device would be kind of like time traveled. Wouldn't it be time traveling? I don't know. It would be different. I really don't even know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
But
exactly.
Like a device, I imagine like an organic device. Like the Vatican claiming they have a device is probably just like a demon that they can summon someone that can.
I love it. They got a demon trapped down in the basement of the Vatican. They use him for time. Yeah. Bro, that's amazing. That's a novel right there. See, this is why we talk about this stuff. I never thought of that. I never considered it, but that's amazing. That's absolutely amazing. What else you got for us, my friend?
That's really it.
All right, you're the best. Joseph here has a YouTube channel called Hydro Hose. Check it out. Links in the description. He does original music and some other stuff. A good friend of mine, good friend of Troubled Minds. Thank you so much for listening, bro. Thanks for calling. You're the best. I'll talk to you soon.
Yep.
Have a great night. There you go. Simple as that. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link, troubledminds.org, and we'll put you on the show. Easy as that. What's up? Johnny over on Rockfin says, bitchin' show. Thanks, man. Appreciate that. And he also says, remember, Mike, with great success comes great responsibility. Amen, sir. Amen. And not only that, I already know. It's scary. It's a scary thing when you go from obscurity to like people know who you are. It's weird. It's starting to get weird, but I'm not scared. What's up? Quick shout out real quick before we go to Matt in California. I got a friend in Las Vegas here that says from my hometown. Let's quick shout out over here. Where'd I miss you? I saw you ways up. Candy, hi from your hometown, Las Vegas. What's up, Candy? How are you? What's going on? All right. So what we're going to do is continue talking about this. Fabled time devices, this timeless communication, this idea of the Chronovisor and the Vatican. But what about this Doddleston Messages? This computer back in 1984 receiving messages from the past from an individual that says they lived in, the 16th century or something. Do you think that's possible? And not only were they in communication with the 1984 people, they said they were in communication with people from the 2100 or something like that, where they created the actual time thing, this time dilation or a communication device, and we're able to send it back to them. Crazy stuff. You think it's even possible? I got no freaking idea. 702-957-1037. Still taking your phone calls. And let's go to, what's up, Charlie? I see you there on Rockfin. Let's go to Matt in California. What's up, brother? How are you? Welcome. What is going on tonight?
Hey, Mike. How's it going?
I'm doing good, man. Chilling. Hey, another Monday night on Trouble Minds talking about crazy shit. Living the dream. What do you think?
Yeah, it's called, be real quick on this one but about tonight's topic, but have you ever seen the movie The Butterfly Effect?
Ooh, brief me real quick. What's it about?
I was going to talk about it because it's right up the alley of this topic. Without spoiling it, kind of a cliff notes of the movie. The movie is about, there's this kid, and as a kid, his friend tragically dies, and he sees it, and he's kind of the cause of, like, he's the one that set up the situation, the scenario for them to be in, where he gets killed. And he's traumatized, and the therapist tells him to write to journal. And so he starts writing these journals, and then he grows up, and it's Ashton Kutcher is the actor that plays him as an adult.
Yeah. Okay.
And then so as an adult, he finds these journals again, and he starts to read them, and he has this like weird innate ability. It's like just a special power, I guess he has in his mind, that he could go back in time to that event that he's reading about in the journal, but he's him, and so he can alter, like change or affect or not affect the situation. And then when that vision's over, it's like boom, he shoots back to the present, and whatever he changed, or whatever if he interacted or didn't interact, or whatever he did in the past altered the future, and it always ended up being worse and worse every time. So he's trying to go back into the past and save his friend from dying, but it just keeps on making it worse and worse.
And so at some point, that's the butterfly effect. That's the more you try and fix it, the worse it becomes, and it becomes unfixable. Like back to that deterministic sort of idea that everything's predetermined, and there's no going back. That whole running time is the running river, and once it's gone, that shit's gone, right?
Yeah, and that's kind of what in the story he come to find out it's like hereditary. His dad had it, and his grandfather had it, and you come to find out his dad was doing it with pictures. Like he had a photo album, and he was looking at pictures and going back to that time and trying to mess with time. And he's trying to warn him, but he ends up going back in time too far and messing up. And then come to find out, like he jumped to the future. He never had made the photo album. Whatever circumstances he changed, it made him to where he never made the photo album. So now he could not go back to fix it. So he's like stuck in that messed up time loop.
So then he fucked himself. So not only is his friend dead forever, now he's screwed too, right?
Yeah. And so if you do watch the movie, it's a sad movie. Not you gotta be in a certain mood for it. It's kind of sad.
I got you.
But
thanks for the warning.
If you do watch it, there's two different versions of the movie. There's the theater version that I saw in the theaters, and then there's actually a director's cut version that I'd recommend that one. But it's like the ending was so messed up that they couldn't play it in theaters.
Oh,
That's
really?
how messed up the movie is. Yeah.
Whoa, what was it? Spoiler alert, I guess. Can maybe send me a message? I want to know. Now I want to know.
I don't want to spoil it if you've never seen it.
Okay, all right.
It's pretty much it's dark. We'll put it that way.
Okay, dark. All right, dark is fine. Dark is fine by me. I mean, it's only a movie. It's only a movie.
Yeah.
Right on.
But I think it's interesting how it was in his mind. It wasn't a device. It was just a power that he had.
Right, exactly. So we've talked about in the past with you that whole shamanic journey and sort of maybe hallucinogens and that sort of thing. Do you think that part of that and maybe the ayahuasca or DMT experience is kind of like what we're talking about? Not just in terms of maybe the machine elves and sort of dimensional shit, but like maybe it's a way to unlock us from our time frame. Maybe that cheat code of consciousness. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think that is possible. It's the thing with it is a lot of people at first when they get into this kind of stuff, it's like recreational, like just have fun, like escape reality. But I learned, to use it as like a tool, and it's a lot of it's like microdosing. You don't want to like take too much and be completely gone, see God, like I say. But you want to take enough to just kind of just see, I guess, pierce the veil just enough and remember what you're seeing. But as far as like time traveling and stuff, I've never had a time traveling like experience like that with that. But I think there could be something there. Like you said, breaking like a cheat code, jailbreaking your body. Yeah,
right. The old jailbreak. It's funny how like these terms, right? Like like even 20 years ago, a lot of these terms we didn't know what the fucking cheat code was 20 years ago, or a jailbreak in anything. And now it's like, wait, now it kind of makes sense, doesn't it? Especially in terms of consciousness or some of this other stuff. Wild, man, wild. What do you think about this? what do you think about the devices with like the Vatican and that idea, the Chronovisor, or this other like maybe somebody typing through a computer from the 16th century? You think that's a bunch of bullshit, or you think that maybe something there?
That one story about through the computer, that was it was interesting, but probably a hoax. As far as like the devices, like if there is something in the Vatican that they have, of course, they have, they're not going to show us. But I think it could even be something that like we can't even fathom what it is. It could be something completely different than what we think. And they're kind of just, how they show us stuff in like pop culture, or like TV shows. There's a lot of, go on Netflix and type time traveling shows into the search. There's a lot, Yeah. So there's time travel stuff out there.
There are totally, yeah.
They're showing us in pop culture, they're showing us like the devices, but maybe it's, maybe the stuff they're showing us on TV is like the stuff they had 20 years ago, and they're already, so much more advanced or so much further along. Or maybe it's just something completely different that we haven't even thought of that they have. That's like, it's like a clock or something.
Yeah, hard to say. Have you ever had an experience where you thought maybe you were time traveling? Whether it's that sort of the slow down accident, like brrr effect, or anything that's ever happened to you in any of your experience here that maybe makes you think this stuff is real?
Yeah, I've been in 3 car accidents, and you're right. It is weird how you said that. It does like slow down time, and then what's even really weird is like when you replay in your head. Like when you replay that time in your head, it is like that. Like it's like a movie, like I could slow it down, speed it up. And it is like that. I could see everything happening in slow motion. It is kind of weird how you say that.
Yeah, it is. And it's like, it sticks there. Like you can't speed it up, can you? It's a permanent like slow-mo in your brain. It's so fucking weird. Yeah, it's so weird. Yeah, man. Which actually means we have the ability to control time, right? We just don't know how to unlock it, like kind of do it on a whim, we can't flip that switch and just be like, I'm going to go bullet time. Right? Cause that'd be hot. Yeah. That'd be super hot. Yes. give me bullet time, Matt. Let's bullet time. Bullet time, play basketball.
Yes, super good. Good topic tonight, Mike. Thank you.
I appreciate it. Anything else you got for us, my friend?
No, I'm going to go because I just want to talk about that movie. I thought that movie was kind of interesting to this subject tonight. And I want to hear what Stalker has to say.
Okay. You got it, brother. Appreciate it very much. Matt in California, good friend of mine. Say hi to Lacey for me. Thanks for listening. You guys are the best.
Good night, man.
Thanks, bro. You too. All right. So that's what we're doing. We're still talking about this tonight. This idea, these fabled time devices, timeless communication. Is it possible to actually sort of pierce through that veil, through the fog of time, as I call it, and maybe jump into or jump out of, well, whatever it is, whatever this time frame is, kind of locked into our time slice, like I like to call it. Is there a way to maybe unlock it? That cheat code, like we just talked about with Matt. Is this real? And again, like I said, I'm open-minded to the point where, sure, fine, we can talk about this being real. But if you're like, come on, Mike, this is a bunch of bullshit, that's fine too. Like we're open into all the things, and that's what's going on here. So 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. Let's go to Kelly. Kelly in Colorado. Welcome to Troubled Minds, my friend. How are you?
Good evening. How's it going?
Doing well. Man, we're getting pro. We're getting pro on the transitions, and bam. What do you think, my man? What do you think about all this crazy shit? Is this too far off the rails, or is this right in the pocket here?
No, there's actually, people have been talking about building time machines for a while, right? There's different scientists out there that have been trying. The one that I know of, his name is Robert Mallet. You ever heard of him?
Does not ring a bell, no.
Oh, he's a physicist. He's still alive. He's not, he's an older gentleman, but he's not. But he claims that he's getting close to where he can send like particles, that he can bring them, like send them in through time, through his time machine and bring them back. He uses lasers. His name's Ronald Mallet. Anyway, his father was something like has to do with his father. There was a story that goes with it, but he's been tinkering around with this instrument that he has for a while. So I haven't heard anything within I don't know, probably about 10 years or something. But it's probably been about that long now. But I haven't heard any updates on it. But it was a pretty interesting read when he was talking about how he could use those. It's kind of like putting lasers in a square, kind of like a pattern. You know what I mean? If you was to see it, like you could like look down it. You know what I mean? With all the lasers that go all the way up, it looks like a tunnel. It's pretty interesting though. But we have also had examples of people, had time traveled, right? And we're talking like that was in, that got publicity back then. Right? There was a guy, I don't know if you ever heard of it. It was called the Mystery Man from Tolred. He ended up in a Japanese airport. And he got arrested. Well, they were looking at him, they kind of held him because his passport, he said that the country he was from was a country called Tolred. There was no country called Tolred, right? So he was held for a while, and he was kind of confused. He's like, I guess they said he said he's seen a map when he was, and so they trying to show him. They're like, where's it at? And he was like. He was kind of pissed, like he's yelling, kind of like, where's it at? He was kind of frustrated. He said they said he had different types of European money, and on his passport he had like different countries he had been to, right? But yeah, the country he was from, they're claiming that it was Tolred, which is pretty interesting. It's just a story that I ran across.
Yeah, Taured. I know the story, and we've actually never talked about that story directly on this show. I don't think it's been requested a couple times, but we never actually got to it. So I'm glad you brought it up. We'll get to that coming soon. But go ahead, sir. You had something else?
Yeah, no, that was in the 1954, like in the 1950s. It was like around 1954 is when that supposedly happened, and there was another man that he disappeared, right? From where he was in, I believe it was New York. He was from Fifth Avenue, but he disappeared. His name was Rudolph Fentz, right? He disappeared, and then he showed up alive in Times Square in 1950, which is kind of bizarre. These two stories are in the 50s, but anyway, he shows up in the middle of Times Square, and he looked kind of bewildered, looking around at some of the street signs and stuff, and he got hit by a car and killed. Right? This is happening around like 11:15 p.m. And he had a bunch of different like money that was never, it was no longer in production. So the coins and all the money that he had was old, right? And what was it? Another one, he had like a letter on him, right? And it was post dated to 1876. He had couple different business cards that, they think that's what his name was because he had different business cards that had that name on it, right? But he also had like other businesses that no longer existed, in New York. He would have to go back again, back in the 1800s to even look at that shit. That was actually pretty interesting too because he just popped up and got killed. It wasn't like a story that, that you would find randomly on the internet, but yeah, this one was where the man got killed. But when they searched his pockets, he was like, "What the hell?" I mean, his clothes, the way he dressed, and everything was different.
I know that one too, actually. So shout out to Martin in Sweden, who just is getting back on his schedule from the COVID lockdowns. He actually requested that particular story you're talking about like 2 years ago, maybe just before COVID hit. And I read it then, and I was like, okay, we'll work it in at some point, and I never got to it. So much shit to talk about. But yeah, both of those things you're talking about now, I'm familiar with the story, at least in a cursory manner, but we've never actually got there. So we'll add those. But yeah, wacky shit, meaning that some of these people seem like they're out of time, like actual time travelers, or even people maybe from other like, I don't know, like not maybe dimensions, timelines or something that just seem to be out of place, right? To like, I don't know, wacky stuff, huh?
Yeah, man. You got even like, I mean, there's other examples now. I mean, I don't know how well you could, say because everything can be doctored now, but there's some videos that are out there that's pretty interesting, Or like I seen one where a car just like fucking pops up out of nowhere, and it hits another car and it got in a wreck. And some people say, oh, they just popped out of nowhere. Maybe that's what they're talking about because, I mean, there's videos where it looks like a kid just came like either run through a time. I don't know if it's they're time portals or what, So me and Michelle were kind of talking about, so what would be considered time travel, right? Is that you go a certain speed before you time travel? Or is it just open, like in the case of these ones, it sounds like they were like opening up a portal or something and they just happened to walk through. Another one too is like those two, the two brother and sisters, they were like green skin and stuff. The kids of wood, I think it's wood, what was it? Woodful or like wool pit.
Wool pit. Yeah. Yep. The green kids at Wool Pit, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Talk about nowhere too. They was, they said that they were from Middle Earth though, but that was something different. They walked into a cave or something and ended up coming up on, showing up here. So yeah, cases like that have popped up. I don't know again if it's, a type of machinery, kind of like we're talking about in the case of the tonight's show. That's why I kind of brought up a physicist, his name, Ronald Mallet. So that's the only thing that I've seen that, that anybody's kind of actually putting out. I'm pretty sure the governments have been working on it, not only United States, but I'm pretty sure other people have, there's smart people around the world all over the place. So we're not the only scientists that got, here in the United States.
Yeah, for sure. And other places in the world, they can do the more nefarious shit. So that's where that shit's going down. Absolutely. 100%. You're the best, Kelly. What else you got for us?
No, that was it, man. That's why I was kind of wanting to throw those in there.
Appreciate it. Good stuff as always. You were the best. Thanks for listening. You're welcome to stay. As you know, you let me know if you want to hang or you got to bounce.
No, I'm gonna mute up and listen to Night Shocker.
All right, cool. Sounds good. Say hi to Michelle for us. Thanks for listening, guys. You're the best. 702-957-1037. We're talking about these fabled time devices, communicating through the bounds of time, through the fog of time, I'm calling it tonight, because why the fuck not? I can call it whatever I want, right? And that's what we're doing. So is it possible to maybe communicate from our, let's say, time slice? We're locked into, the birth, the live, the death cycle as people, but some say that time exists all simultaneously. It's all here. We just somehow can't perceive all of that, and maybe that's how aliens and all the rest of these interdimensionals or whatever the hell actually perceive it. So you tell me one more time. 702-957-1037. Thanks to Kelly and Matt. Let's go to Night Stalker. Derek in Massachusetts. Sorry to make you wait, my friend. Welcome to Troubled Minds.
Yo. Am I on?
You're on. Go right ahead, sir.
What's going on, brother? What's happening? Great call, Kelly.
Yeah, good stuff from everybody. So as usual, right? Like you always say, murderers row of callers here. It's just crazy.
Yeah.
Embarrassment of riches. So the thing is, right? What's going on? I'm sure you've heard of this. You were talking about the I can't remember the name of this again. The Doddleston.
Yeah, vertical plane thing.
Yeah, the vertical plane, right? Yeah. Start wherever you want. I'm sure you got some pretty good stuff. Go right ahead.
Yeah. So I missed like the first half of the show. I had to do the comic show with Dave, but I checked out like the very beginning when I got the notification for it, and I saw the title, and I was like, oh, my call is going to be about this vertical plane thing. And then literally as soon as I turn the show on, it's like an hour and a half into the show, you bring up this Doddleston effect thing or whatever, or the vertical plane thing. And I was like,
yeah.
I was like, wow, there we go. There's a little synchronicity for you right there.
The same damn thing. And again, this is the craziest part about that. I've never heard of it. I shit you not till like 4 hours ago or whatever when I was doing show prep. I was like, I didn't
even finish. I didn't finish the podcast. It was what I was listening to on my ride home from work today, like the last hour of work. So I don't even know what the conclusion is of like the author was giving the interview. So I don't even know where it goes. You said the thing about they might have got the technology from from the 1200s, like the 1600s guy, which is like news to me, because like it was the author was talking, and he was kind of saying that like we don't know how this person was communicating. Like just to reiterate, like the person in 1984, this computer is like, nobody had computers. There was no internet.
Exactly.
Like the only people who had modems were like the military and like huge tech industries and stuff. And it was at this time, like the first Mac had just come out, and those were like $6,000 a piece. And like there was no personal computers like this. And so like, and even still, when somebody did get one, they're basically just like TVs that were typewriters. They were just like word processors. Was the whole thing. So this big box, was just a giant word processor. Synchronistically, the processor was like made in the town that this person was from. He was like a teacher at a university or whatever. So that's already like ridiculous. That's not, if that happened today, you could easily brush it off as just a hoax or just whatever. Like they made the analogy that computers now are just antennas. There's information coming in and out of these things nonstop.
Yep.
But constantly, but not in this case. So, which is already weird. How did this happen? Like there would need to be something like somebody breaking into his house and like literally doing it on his personal computer. Because like the people didn't know, like the computers that he got from the university, it was nobody knew what he was going to get. Like, and so it wasn't like pre-planned or anything like that. Was the conclusion that they made apparently. So, and then like, so then that six-toed thing is very weird too on the wall, which makes it seem like it's some type of metaphysical entity. But then like the demon thing is the first thing that jumps out to me. The idea that this is something that's contacting you via electricity. And like, shout out to James, we talk about this all the time. But like these entities that exist in the electromagnetic spectrum, and the idea that like every time we have some type of boost, like the author of the book made this comparison, like every time we have a new technology, it's used in two ways. One, for porn. Two, to contact the dead, to contact the other side. Like the telephone, the radio, like that's just what we do with it. Like, so this is just another one of these examples. And it's just like, what are we talking to? Like what, and then the person from the 1600s, and like it was in Old English too. So like this is like very, very, very early English. It's like pretty much unrecognizable. This is like pre-Shakespeare, where like he was like Shakespeare like invented a lot of English words. Before him, it's a combination of a ton of different European countries, the indigenous tribes of the areas and stuff, of the isles and stuff, and it's like nearly unrecognizable to us. So like to be able to not only understand the messages that are being received, also for this person to understand your messages that you're sending back is already like very, very weird, you know? And then you get into the technology thing where he says that he received a technology or something. He didn't know if he said technology. He received something that allowed him to make this communication. But the way the communication was, it was like it was almost like he was perceiving the person from 1984 as a ghost, but like a future ghost, you know, like, because he was like early in the communication, like one of the first letters or whatever, or the first like emails or whatever it was basically complaining, basically saying like, get out of my house, like you're haunting my house pretty much, and then like all the kind of unrecognizable stuff I'm seeing. So the author's trying to come to like, it's not like he's watching it through some type of video screen, like security monitor. It's not like he's exactly like in the same room. So he really couldn't get a sense of what it was like for the person in the 1600s to make this communication. And let's say some other time traveler came and gave him like a computer. How would that person know how to use a computer? Like, it wouldn't. Like, this person was bragging about just being able to know how to read. This is like pre-printing press. This is no typewriters or anything like that. And this person, in order to, in 1984, this ghost or whatever it was, set up a file. So this person found whatever this communication was in a file marked like C or whatever. I don't have it in front of me, so just by memory. So this person, who has no frame of reference for this technology at all, is able to go in there and set up a folder for this person, and then do this. I don't know. It's crazy. So I'm like, no, that's a demon. You're talking to a demon right now.
Which
so I don't know.
which seems, and again, so we have a contact from like a computer in 1984 that was not hooked up to a modem internet because it didn't exist. Like I said, it was only military. Only Al Gore was using a modem.
Exactly,
because he had created them. But
apparently,
that's a terrible joke. But right. But then so they're getting these files. It's almost like you said. The only way for this to actually happen today, it's nothing. You get hacked, and that's what it is. You're like, oh shit, it's not demons. It's some hacker in Bangladesh or whatever, right? But instead, like like somebody's writing files. Something is writing files and leaving them messages in Old English, saying it's from like the 16th century, right? And so it's like, what the fuck is this? And so they're communicating with these people, but then also, so the way this happens is when the people finally communicate back and they're trying to like figure out what the hell's going on, the individual from the 16th century that's talking to them through this device, which actually the computer that I've got on the thumbnail, I'm going to make it full screen, was very similar to what they were using back then. So I tried to get like an old school computer that looked exactly sort of like it. But basically, the individual, they're like, how the hell, it doesn't make sense. There were no computers there. There's barely computers now. But the individual from the 1600s said that they were in contact with somebody from like 2198 or something like that. And that was the individual that gave them the technology to be able to talk to the future. And so, right? So shit gets even more wild. And I like where your head's at, where you're like, no, fuck that. This is a demon. This is.
Are we sure? Are we sure? And just like all the like the questions they were asking, like they read like one of the messages, and it's basically like it was translated from Old English into like modern English, and it's basically like, oh wow, yeah, so you're a teacher, like, is it at this school? And it kind of like, I don't know if it's Hawthorne, but like, you know how words kind of in Old English they like drop some letters or whatever, and the words are kind of the same. So it's a lot of those like, oh, do you mean this term? Do you mean this school? Oh yeah, like I went to school there, yada yada. Now I'm a farmer, and I farm, and I like to make my own ale. Yeah, but my friend, he makes better ale than I do. Blah blah blah. Just this small talk bullshit. And the person's like, if somebody from 400 years in the future contacted you, Michael Strange, right now tonight, you're not going to talk about how, like, you might mention maybe juice, but just like as a joke, you know, you're going to ask like, what's going on in the future? What's the future like? Like, right. What is the future like? He doesn't ask that once. So it makes you seem like, are you sure? Like, are these questions that a person would ask, or does it seem like some type of trickster type entity that's on inside of technology? Like, I don't know. I don't want to go into we talked about the technology thing so often with like the what's trying to build it aspect, but it just, even if these entities aren't like, their goal isn't for us to make technology, which I think it might be, they can at least use it. And it seems like we're contacting something when we create these new forms of technology. So in this instance, I don't technically believe it's time travel. I think it's very weird, maybe juice type stuff, so it's cool to talk about. But as far as like, are there technologies that might allow you to see into other times, like the Chronovisor? Yeah, probably. Yeah, probably. Yeah, I think so. I don't know.
Maybe juice. Maybe juice.
Maybe juice. Yeah, I think it's weird. Yeah, go ahead. What?
Just real quick to reframe. Beginning in 1984, a Doddleston economics teacher called Ken Webster began receiving mysterious messages saved as documents on his home computer from someone claiming to be from the 16th century. These supposed missives from the past contained an on and off for further 2 years, and were eventually joined by messages from yet another sender claiming to be from the year 2109. Before these messages finally stopped in 1986. The strange series of events is covered in the most recent episode here, but also in the book called, what's the book called? Please help me.
Vertical Plane.
Vertical Plane. Thank you. Yeah. I have so many things in my head doing this, I can't remember all the things. I got 30 tabs open. I'm like, fuck, which one is this? But anyway,
Just because they're using like that idea, like the concept, like the message in a bottle type concept, I like, and that being able to, the idea of there being some type of potential way to leave a message in the bottle like that, to have some kind of like temporal pen pal, so to speak, is cool. And it's kind of like that Keanu Reeves, Sandra Bullock movie. I don't know if anyone's mentioned it yet, but like the mailbox, or I've never seen it, but it's like where they fall in love with each other. They're like living in the same house, and they're like leaving letters to each other, but they're like 20 years separated, or whatever. And like the mailbox is the conduit for this time travel. I don't know how it works, so I didn't see the movie, but that like trope happens a lot. And like that idea is very cool, but just adding the computer into it changes it from time travel to demons for me personally, you know? But as far as like time travel, yeah, I do think that idea like has merit. I don't know how it would work. Like my view on time is that all these events are happening all at once. Like it's all happening. So I don't know. Obviously, I don't know how to make that connection. But I think it's possible. I think like the Vatican might have figured it out. I think like there's a comic called Knights Temporal. It's like a play on the Knights Templar, but like time traveling Knights Templar. And there's all kinds of different like, and that idea is cool to me, like secret societies of time travelers. And then the Loki had the Time Variance Authority. Umbrella Academy had the same thing, like their own time anomaly group. Legends of Tomorrow in DC has like, that's what they do. It's just technologies that they use to like monitor the timeline. And then in like, so that idea kind of being that like the reality that we're living in is it's the idea that like there's the unseen realms and the seen realms, that like in this realm that we're living in, the 3D plane, however you want to phrase it, we have time and space. So there's all different philosophies that like, yeah, there's entities outside of time and space that created this to grow things. Nothing can grow outside of time and space. So you need to create a realm that has time in order for things to grow, to use it outside of time. But just all different types of like, for the idea being that whatever we're like, all you need to do is just escape the time stream somehow, and then you have access to like unlimited times. So Marvel is using that the TVA, we don't know yet because it's like a new thing in Marvel, but we're theorizing that it's in the quantum realm that Ant-Man introduced this space, because that's what they used to time travel in Avengers. It's essentially just escaping whatever reality we're in, and in this case, this quantum paradox realm allows you like an aerial view of the time stream, and you can hop back in whatever you want to, you know, which is cool. Like, I don't know, I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm rambling. Sorry, I kind of got lost in myself.
No, you're fine. Welcome to my world. I always say welcome to my world. I'm like, oh shit, how did I get it? How am I talking? I'm not even supposed to be talking about this. How did I get it? No,
Where am I? I thought I was sleeping.
Yeah, exactly. No. So the thing is too. So the weird part about what you're saying there is that it is a. I don't know, like we're stuck in this something, and then like I call it time slices, right? And that, you know, like it like the pane of glass, sort of like, you know, the Superman, and they imprison the three bad guys in that like kind of pane of glass, you know. That's kind of how I see like the time slices that we're locked into. But those slices are also like adjacent. They're all next to each other, and they're all in the same space. So how do you unlock yourself from like that one tiny slice of time we're locked into? And it's like a video game cheat code, right? Like you're describing. Like once you kind of peel yourself out of that space, you're like Neo. Like literally the shit becomes like that cheat code stuff, and you could stop bullets and shit. You know what I mean? It kind of turns into that, doesn't it? Like imagine like you're in I don't know, you're like 65 million years ago about to get eaten by a T-Rex, but you're like, fuck off, I'm gonna just dip into the next time frame, and there's no T-Rex, right? You're like, boom, I'm out of here, right? And that's the thing. So like, but as we understand the way time exists, that's like a possible maybe. Like if you can unlock that time frame stasis, whatever it is, then you could do those things and just like cheat code style, 100%. Shout out to Rivers in the chat. We got a rare Rivers sighting. What's up, Rivers?
Oh, Rivers! Shout out Rivers. Amazing Rivers.
Rare Rivers sighting. But yeah. So I mean, you're spot on with a bunch of this stuff. We got APOC behind you too. So let's share the love. But what the hell's going on with this? I think I'm with you, dude. I'm not even a religious dude, but the more I think about a lot of this stuff, I'm kind of like you. I'm like, shit, that sounds like demons to me.
Exactly. It's like I like saying the demons thing because it's just like it's funny and provocative now. But like again, like I don't know if that means it's not. I'm not saying it like demon, like pointy ears and like a tail that works. That's in some fire realm that works for Satan. When I say demon, it's just some type of entity that exists in the electromagnetic spectrum, basically. But like, as far as saying, it's like perception of time. Yeah, like that gets into the whole like psychedelics thing, and the thing is we're limited by a very small filter. We're filtering things and presenting it in one moment after the next. But if we can, what psychedelics does, or any type of consciousness shift, whether it be like trauma or like running, like sleep deprivation, or like running for a long time, or I don't know, like pain, like it does like some kind of consciousness shift that allows you to maybe catch glimpses of things outside of that small filter that you're in. And like there's people that actually like perceive time much like, for me personally, like I think I'm the best shelf stocker in the world, and there's times where I've like stocked an impossible amount of stuff that I feel like I've generally slowed down time, and I've like done an impossible amount of things in like an hour or whatever. But there's people who there was like a radio lab a few years ago about this, and it's like they had like a person who experiences time very slowly, and they took like a video of him, and he was like let's just say he's like brushing his hair, like combing his hair. That's not what it was, but he was slowly moving the comb up, and it took him 2 hours to put the comb through his hair once. And then from his perspective, he thought he was moving normally. He didn't notice this. This is like an actual medical condition. And then they showed him the tape, and he was like blown away. He's like, "Are you serious?" And then the reverse, where like somebody's moving, like even talking even faster than I talk, or you know what I mean, like just really going like a mile a minute. And then they show him that, it's like, whoa, I thought I was normal, and it's just people are actually moving it. So there's some type of consciousness element to this. So as far as like perceiving times, like I think there's something. I don't think there's a DeLorean that we can make, or a machine that we can hop into and like rip open space time and physically travel to another time like that, because of the fact that they're all happening all at once, and that every moment we're in a different reality under this paradigm. So there is no other times. It's all just infinite nows. You would need to like figure out something that adjusts your consciousness to a way where you just like perceive this time. You just like enter this new now that's also existing. Yeah. I know she's behind me, but to the point about like free will thing and like the fate thing. This is like there's infinite predetermined realities. So because of this infinite, that like puts the free will back in there, and you have like your karma is like your trajectory. So like if you like kind of your like things that are propelling you towards a certain outcome, maybe, or like your like how raindrops kind of roll down like a window or whatever. Like there's like they're gonna roll in a certain direction, but like when it comes down to it, you have access to every single one of these nows. So what synchronicity is kind of like you move like that raindrop moving in kind of like an irregular pattern on the like really coming out of like its runnel that is going down, and that's when you feel like the whoa moment of I just made a shift. Like I'm like I don't know, I'm going into another now that's not exactly right next to my other one. I don't know. It's tough to visualize. But yeah, it's technology. I don't know. It's probability. Probably a lot of probability math behind it to figure out potential realities, and it probably exists. I'll let you go. Great show, man. Sorry for rambling.
No, you're good.
Great stuff, everybody.
Hey, we're rambling, man. It's okay. Welcome to my world. Derek in Massachusetts. He's got a YouTube channel, guys. Check it out. Link in the description. He's got a trailer. Let's inspire him to make more content. You're the best, Derek. I appreciate it. Very, very good stuff as always.
Later.
Thanks, bro. All right, let's get to APOC. Sorry about that. 702-957-1037. We're talking about fabled time devices and timeless communication. APOC, welcome to Troubled Minds. How are you tonight? Test 1 2. Are you there? Hello. You're unmuted, but you're not coming through. So if you can hear me, you may have to restart Discord because sometimes it updates. This was the bane of my existence, by the way, for like a year. I never figured out what was breaking all of my audio shit. And you know what it always was? It was because Discord updates like 3 or 4 times a week. Like they literally have like, it was insane. So like I would be running like the old version of Discord and it would break everything. So yeah. So just Just restart it, turn it down, turn it off, restart it, kill it, and then come back. So real quick, let's do this. Well, we still got our good buddy Algorithm here. Check this out. Let's help him. Look, I got Algo sending an application to Rockfin, and they turned him down. And there's no shame there. I did the same thing, so they turned me down as well. But this is what happened. I said, hey, Robert over on Rockfin was like, hey, Mike, let's get you on here. He brought it up again, and I was like, okay, I tried once, and they said no, and I said, okay, let's try this, and let's send some emails and see if that does the trick, and it did the trick. So let's check this out. Let's see if we can help Algorithm do the exact same thing. I just linked his YouTube channel right there, and Robert again said that this is the email he used to send the actual thing right here. There you go. So please, I just linked in the YouTube chat Algorithm's YouTube channel, and then support@rockfin.com. Just send them an email and say, hey, look, I've been waiting to listen to Algo on Rockfin, but he's not here yet. Is there any way we can expedite this process? Or like Robert said, Robert had a very, very keen way of saying this, because Robert's slick with words. He said, when he sent an email on my behalf, on Troubled Minds' behalf, he basically said, hey, look, please let Troubled Minds on Rockfin, because then I can leave YouTube forever. Just leave a little nice email like that, and boom. It's like we flood him in and let him know, and it's as simple as that. So there's his link again, YouTube link. Send that to Jamie is the guy's name. Don't say Jamie, just say hi guys to whom it may concern. But then it's actually Jaime. But support at Rockfin, and say, hey, we want Algorithm on Rockfin, and watch, it'll happen. Rockfin's the place to be for a couple reasons, right? Number one, free speech. They're not like YouTube. We can talk like vaccine shit all day long, all day, every day, and it's fine, right? Not that I want to do that. That's not really the Troubled Minds way of things, but I don't like hedging when you want to say something, you know what I mean? And I don't like shutting you guys down a little bit and asking you to rephrase when you want to say something. I want you to say it, I want you to say it. Right, wrong, or indifferent, I want you to say it, because this is how we learn from each other. And so the point is that Rockfin is not like that. They don't do that. It's a free speech platform. It's built on a blockchain. And also, by the way, it's you get paid just from you can get tips on Rockfin. Again, thank you again to Crabapple and Robert over on Rockfin tonight for sending me generous tips. But then also you get for people watching your stuff over there, you get paid in crypto. So yeah, let's help Algo out. Support at rockfin.com. Let them know we want Algorithm on you should be hearing some. Oh, my bad. Sorry, APOC. Welcome to Troubled Minds. Sorry about that. Are you there? Test 1 2. You're on the wrong channel. Hello.
Mm-hmm.
Loud and clear. What's up, APOC? Welcome to Troubled Minds. How are you tonight? That was my fault. I was gushing about Algorithm and saying let's get him on Rockfin. But it's your time. It's your time now. Welcome, APOC. APOC is very much one of us, like James said. I'm very glad you're calling in, quickly becoming a very good friend. Go right ahead. What are your thoughts on this? Fabled time devices and timeless communication. How does this work?
Okay. Had to step outside, so I muted for a sec so the door wouldn't. No
problem.
So I heard Night Stalker explain his point of view after you were talking about the glass, the windows, the layers. Sorry about that. I really liked your idea on the layers of glass. The way I see it is each layer is a frequency, a slight different frequency of how time works, of how it vibrates. If you look at the singularity, the point where everything exists at once, the 0 point or whatever you call it, that would be in a position where time doesn't exist. It would be information, right? So if you think about there being different frequencies, different layers, and the 0 point is either like compact, dense something or other that can't contain time but can only contain information, but then the layers that ripple out from that are different variants of how time works. And so you can consider potentially that we are in this particular, it's like we are sympathetic to this frequency that we're in right now, so this is what we experience. But if we shift our vibration a little bit, if we shift our perspective in respect to how we are vibrating, literally, then I do think it's possible to slip, into and out of different perspectives in relationship to time.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it makes perfect sense. And so I guess the question is, and I'm glad you framed it this way. So the question is, it becomes, for a human being, for just us, for just a person, that relationship to time, how does it unlock? Is it so? It seems like, based on some of the callers we got tonight, some of the great ideas that we've had throughout the evening, is there seems to be multiple ways to maybe do this, right? In the sense of, well, it's like I said, maybe the shamanic experience, maybe ayahuasca or peyote or things like this. Maybe not. Maybe meditation. Maybe, right? Who knows? Maybe actual like devices like this Chronovisor or whatever the hell this thing's called. I don't know. Like it seems like maybe there's not like a one-way street here. Like we're able to maybe there are multiple cheat codes for unlocking this time space, right?
Absolutely. I totally see it that way. And even David Anderson, if you're familiar with him, he worked on time dilation, and he had his own lab, and now he works with people across the planet with time dilation stuff. He's got, if the Anderson Institute, if anybody wants to look it up. But in his last interview, he even said that he believes that the human mind is capable of this. And he was able, he had discussed on Art Bell way back and stuff like that you could do windows where you could see into different timelines, not timelines, but into different times. And of course, he did the tomato seed test with checking the genetics of the seeds, and he could send that he was determined that he could only go ahead in time, not back, but he reversed it and went back in time before the seeds had actually been created by the original tomato plant. And the seeds still existed, but they were of a different genetic line. So that's pretty interesting. So it's almost like, again, I go back to that river of time. As long as we're sympathetic with this frequency of time, then we can't necessarily deviate from it. Oh, I wanted to go into, if possible, oh gosh, I just blanked. I'm outside kind of freezing right now. I'm
you
sorry.
need me to ramble? I'll ramble. You need me to buy you some time? I'm good at it. I can ramble.
I know you can. Well, okay, time. Okay. So this is kind of on topic with what I talked about the very first time I called in, and that is looking at the singularity and looking at what has been brought up a couple of times again in this talk about fate versus choice. And I'm going to go inside. It's freezing while I'm talking to you.
Yeah, what are you doing? Get inside.
I know. I'm trying to keep it quiet here.
Come on.
I'm trying to keep it quiet.
I see. All right.
So,
I'll be quiet.
So anyway, so if you look at the nature of the timelessness of the singularity, right? then what you have is all information. It's not potential information, it's all information that is and will exist and has existed. And so it's not like there are varying, this is just how I see it, it's not like there are varying possibilities that are in that singularity, that point of information. It's what we are experiencing now, what we would have experienced, and what we have experienced. And you can't separate fate versus choice, because it's because our choices have been made and are being made that the information exists in the singularity or the collective or whatever in the first place. So it's like two sides of the same coin. Because we have choice and because we're making those choices in our life, then we could see it, if we jump to the end of our life, as it having been fated because it had already happened, but it was only because we made the choices. Does that make sense?
Yes and no though. But okay, so meaning though that it's sloppy in the term of we as we make those choices, right? Like the things are, it's kind of like the way I see it is sort of like let's say a snowy hill with a sled without rails, and it's just kind of like, and then the choices we make are like kind of what bounces it back and forth, right? Like that type of thing. Like meaning that it's very flexible, very fungible, right? That whole idea of as those choices become like the shit's just sliding all over the place, right? That's probably a bad way to put it, but
not in the level of the singularity. The information is just all there and it's all the same, because it will be there because it's already been done, because there is no time. There's no back, there's no forward, there's no right, there's no left, there's no sloppy to it. It's just all there, right? It's in this reality, this time frequency, that we feel like it could be sloppy, I think, maybe. I don't feel that it's sloppy. I'm pretty much anchored into that vein, and in that, every choice that I make, I know it's the right one, regardless of how it turns out, because I've already made it at some point in respect to the information that's contained in the point with which time doesn't exist. And so it's not as if I feel like things are fated. It just brings me to a place of relaxing into, okay, whatever it's going to be, and I'm good with that. But it's not sloppy. It doesn't I don't even really feel what you're saying there.
That's all right. That's all right. That's all right. I'm just trying to figure out what you're saying, which is okay. That's why we do this. No, but okay. Right. But wait, but hold on though. So you're saying that. So is it a predeterministic thing? That's what I'm trying to say. It's not, right? Because just because it's
you're sticking.
Well, meaning, let me explain real quick. Just meaning that in the sense of that singularity, it's all been done before. That doesn't necessarily mean we're locked into. Right, so let's say that everything is like the time is a flat circle. The universe expands, it collapses, and we're just doomed to live this same existence over and over again. Right, everything repeats itself in this gigantic billions, trillion year cycle. Right, like that type of thing. But then, right, are you saying that there's no chance to ever break out of that, and what happens just happens, and that's it? I'm confused there.
Okay, I understand where you're at. So this is where perspective comes in, right? So in the perspective of the collective or the singularity or the place where time doesn't exist, everything just is. Everything that is happening will happen and has happened. It just exists, right? So that's that layer. And then you go out, it's like the rings of a tree. You go out and then eventually come out, and then you stand on a branch and you're looking at the tree trunk. Now you can't see or know or whatever the center of the tree where time doesn't exist. You're out there standing on the branch, so you're actually making it happen. You are in that position at that point with which you are having a creative experience in that you are now creating what is in the core of that tree, creating what is in the singularity, creating but because of the point of perspective of the singularity being information of everything, we have to be out there on that branch doing what we're doing in order for it to happen, right? So but it's perspective. It's like we are there, we're in that frequency, and it is in its spot, which has no frequency in relationship to time. There's no, does that make sense at all? Did that help?
Yeah. So the only trouble I have is reconciling the two, right? So if all the information exists and it's always existed and will always exist, then we're just variations of that information, right? And so variations of that information, nothing new under the sun, no surprises, but still, right, it doesn't mean that to an individual perspective that there's no surprises. There's still surprises tomorrow and the next day. And so, right, and even the ability to change your mind. And in terms of what we're talking about tonight, that timeless communication, maybe like Robert described when he called in previously, like, hey, if he told himself, hey, you're going to fuck this up from the future, don't fuck this up, right? Like, change this. That's sort of the non-linear take on this that, right, I get what you're saying, but I'm not sure how to, like, kind of put the two together in that just because everything, like they say in terms of cosmology, right? They say, if anything can happen, it has happened given in an infinite universe, right? So that's fine, and I get that. But then also, right, doesn't that mean a U-turn exists too? And like, we can somehow maybe cosmically or individually change a mind or change a heart or change a soul and make that U-turn somehow? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And yes, from this perspective, we can, because we have already. So it's like, okay, so there's no conflict whatsoever. Yes, he could have gone back and done what he did, and it was still in the collective. It was still that information, that knowledge of what happened. So put yourself, let's say, in the position at the end of your life, and you're looking back on your life, and you have made all these decisions. Let's say you've floated in and out of time. Let's say you've made a lot of different decisions, and maybe you've influenced your own timeline like he did, right? But you're still at the end of your life, and you're looking back down your timeline. That's where the singularity point is. So you're not there yet, but you're making it. You're part of it. Without you, it wouldn't exist, right?
I know.
It's all reconcilable. So you are absolutely in control of your life. You are making your decisions. It's just that you're coming from your perspective, and if you go to the end of your life and looking back, then that's kind of the singularity's perspective. It's just a matter of perspective, but you're making it happen, and it has happened because at some point you exist at the end of your life, and the singularity is where all the information from that is stored. So it doesn't take out creativity. It doesn't take out your own choices. It doesn't take out, as a matter of fact, it blends very well with it. It's just that, it's a perspective thing. It's a frequency thing too, because from that standpoint, you can look back and go, oh, okay, so I did all these things. Well, if you were in the singularity, the information would exist to be able to show you that, but we don't have that. And I think the biggest reason is because we need to make those decisions in order for those things to happen. And if we knew what all we were going to do, we would just, maybe just choose not to exist or something. I don't know, but it's people.
Hey, it's cold in the void. It's cold in the void. No thanks. let's have it warm while we can have it warm, please.
Exactly.
Yeah. Amen.
All right.
Amen.
Well, right. I'm going to pause. I'm going to mute. You can go to your. Who else is in there?
That's it.
I can't.
We're done. We're done. We're done.
Okay, great.
Wait.
All right.
I'm not trying to run you off. What else you got? If that's all you got, that's all you got. But I'm not trying to twist your arm, but I'm not trying to run you off either. You decide.
Well, I'm also trying to figure out how I'm going to plug in my phone.
Okay.
Because I'm at like 3%. So let me run and see if I can do this and see if it can be quiet in here.
That's fine. No problem.
Okay, I got it. I made it.
All right.
I made it to the chapter.
See? These things can happen. Yeah, I don't know. Based on all of this, so we're speaking in terms of like time, the way we can actually kind of communicate inside or outside of these time slices. So how does that work then? Is it all of those things that we talked about? How about this? Have you ever experienced something like this, like where you've been able to maybe through remote viewing, meditation, through ayahuasca, through anything, through any sort of maybe shamanic experience, whatever, sort of step out of that time frame that we're locked into and into another one, even briefly? Have you ever seen something like that? And by the way, before you answer, let me know, and I'll give you a full 90 seconds because I have to dance away to the restroom, but I'll put you on a speaker and I can hear you. But but when you start, let me know and I'll take off. But I got you on speaker. I'll mute myself, put you on speaker.
All right, go ahead. Do your thing.
I'm listening. As 3, 2, 1, go.
When I was growing up, I had these times where this flash of light would happen. And I, couldn't really figure out what it was. Sometimes it would be like inside the house. Sometimes it would be outside the house. It would be at different times in my life. And then eventually what happened was I would have conversations and or just be walking through the house and suddenly everything would go to white. And I would go into this place of just this geometry and this ultimate knowing in this place of like perfection. And it was a really interesting experience because then I'd come back and I'd try to explain it. I would try to, tell whoever I was with about it. And I would realize very quickly that I couldn't communicate it in the English language. There were no words to express what this was. And so I went back and would try to sort of back up into kindergarten mode and try to explain it very simplistically. And then it would start to kind of fade, that feeling and that knowing. I had an experience later that kind of brought all those things together. But I would say that would be, if the singularity exists, I would say that is it. It's like where all the information exists, and and it's very fractal.
I'm here. I got you. All right. Okay. So let me ask you then. So these flashes. So do you think that something out there came to you, or do you think that you went to it? You know what I'm saying?
I think it's the same thing. I think we're all connected. Like Edgar Mitchell's group, the Noetic Sciences group that he did with all these physicists and metaphysicians, they came up with a theory. It was called the holographic. The quantum hologram. And what the theory was, just basically, is that every single thing that exists has a point within it that connects to the singularity, and that's how we acclimate in this world. So when it sends, like, you're connected to that signal, you're connected to the singularity. And the signal, the singularity with which everyone is also connected, organizes or helps to organize what is happening through those layers of the frequencies of time. And although it's already there, it's like there's almost like another level within it that is the collective consciousness for at least this planet and maybe all of existence. I don't know, but the collective consciousness could literally be another level of the gradient of the frequency of time, and that could be part of what helps organize this. But yeah, the way that it felt was that it was just there, and I saw it. It's like it was there and I saw it, but it was like an opening up. It was like a it was like an opening up when I think it might have had to do with my state of mind as well, because I was in situations where I was very comfortable and open and trusting and just free and doing the art thing and having great conversations. It was in those moments where I was completely receptive, completely open, and then boom, it would happen. So I think... So it was like an opening.
So though, like I said, so it's not a trivial thing. It's like the chicken and the egg, right? So did you seek it, or was it always there and waiting to just be contacted? You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not sure. And the reason I ask that, and the reason I bring it up in those terms, is because it seems like not everybody can just like automatically experience that. You know what I'm saying? And so that's what I mean. So in those terms, did you seek it, or did it find you? Or again, like you said, and I get how you say maybe it's the same thing. It kind of doesn't matter. Maybe on the path, like we all walk by it super close, and it's like a choice to maybe acknowledge it or remember it, or you know what I mean? I get it. Also, real quick too, good question over in Rockfin. Johnny wants to know, let's break down the meaning of singularity. Do you mean, so in singularity in terms of, right, like robotics and whatnot, is like when the robots take over, the singularity of like the robot mind, right? Like consciousness. But I think in your terms, correct me if I'm wrong, we're discussing like sort of the Godhead or the source, like that would be the singularity in this case, right?
Yes, it's the space with which time doesn't exist. That would be
out of time. Okay.
Right. We're out of time. But yeah, it would be the so let's say you have a point where all information exists and time doesn't, and then it expands from there. So that's what I'm referring to, the singularity. Or the center of a black hole has been equated to a singularity, and actually Nassim Haramein's math on this brings everything to a fractal point in a toroidal shape, and the center of the toroidal shape is a black hole, and everything has a toroidal shape. He has the very same, believe it or not, the very same theory that Edgar Mitchell's group came up with, and it was about at the same time, and it was right after I wrote my cosmology, which was very similar, and that's why I found those guys, because I was looking for those same ideas, right? but yeah, it's basically a singularity in the way that I describe it, is just where every piece of information or everything exists at once, and there's no time.
Have you seen Interstellar?
I don't remember.
You guys are killing me. Matthew McConaughey, Murph. You would know.
Mm-mm.
You guys are killing. You guys are killing me. You guys are absolutely killing me. I've seen no movies, and Interstellar is like top 10 of all time. Watch it. Watch Interstellar. Peel some time out. Trust me. I never tell anybody to watch anything. You know how there's always people in your life that are like, oh, you got to watch this. You got to watch that. I'm like, fuck, I don't have time to watch any of this shit. I never tell anybody to watch anything, but I just keep saying, watch Interstellar. So much of the stuff we talk about is like locked into that. And not only that, it's so much actual science. It's fucking weird. And by the way, it's got Matthew McConaughey in it. It's hard to hate that guy.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, right. It's totally hard to hate that guy. Yeah, super good. It's one of those. What can you do? Do?
Can I
go ahead?
I quickly go back to the what you had mentioned before, or asked before you read the question, was related to bring me back to it, because it was on my mind. Does it come to you, or did you come to it, and what's the process with which with which people can get to that point or have that experience. Is that kind of what you were saying?
Yeah, that's exactly what
Are
I'm
you
saying. Yeah. I'm sorry, setting my beer down. No. So that's the thing. So is it an accidental process? Is it something that you like built up to? Is it where you had to be open to it? There's a lot of things here actually. Real quick too, before you answer, Smurfer Girl says, "Are you out of time?" I'm not sure what you mean. Like for the show or something else? Like, let me know. I don't know what you mean. If you mean you want to call in, you're welcome to for sure. We'll stay up late for you. Sorry, APOC, go ahead.
Mike is flexible. Okay, so if what it has been for me is, and I'm going to sort of project a little forward into when I had what people call a Kundalini experience. That was at a point with which I had to get rid of all fear, all my junk, all my attachments, all my expectations, and I had to literally do it within 2 months, very quickly, and it was a hard process. And I was doing the audio studio at that time. I had actually used that to sort of decompress. I built my studio at that point. And I was singing some backup vocals, and I was in that place where I had already released all of that stuff, and boom, that's when the Kundalini thing happened. Now it's very similar to those times that, I was talking about with the opening, only the Kundalini thing stays. It's like the information doesn't go away. It's like everything compresses into meaning at that point, something that you can actually process in a human body, which is really interesting. But I really think that it's a matter of people being able to be receptive. And in order to be receptive, you have to let go of your expectations of anything, your fears of anything, your attachments to stuff, and sort of be in that creative process where life is art. At least that's what happened in my experiences. Again, even in the earlier times, I was experiencing it during times when I was completely open and sort of life is art kind of thing.
Hey,
so that I would say
life is art.
Yeah,
life is art.
Life is art. Exactly. I say that all the time. I'm actually the what do you call it? The drama kid that bloomed like 30 years too late. Yeah. I should like it's always been in me, but like I never had the courage to push it out back then. You know what I mean? But I'm totally that guy. I'm like, hey, you want to be slow and dramatic? You want to be like, hey, let's talk fast and let's do it. Whatever you want to do, let's do it. Like I'm ready. Let's keep the pace. What's on your mind, APOC? Let's roll it. But yeah, I think anybody can pretty much do it. It's just there's a lot that can keep a person from being able to, and it's normal stuff. It's this stuff that society pushes on you. You have to constantly be thinking about this and thinking about that and thinking about the future and the past and figuring out all this stuff. But in order to have those experiences, you have to be fully, I believe, and completely in the now and the present, and and not having any and that's where it comes from, is not having any fears or expectations. That's being in the present. It's being in right now, and not feeling like you need to consider anything except what is existing right now and what you are doing. But I think we can all do it. We have that capacity. I believe we're all connected. Period. We're all connected, and it's just a matter of I used to say it like you're uncovering layers of that programming. You're uncovering layers of that, of those fears that you might not even know where they came from. But it's like blankets over us, and one at a time, if we uncover them, then eventually we can get to the core of who we are. And I think that is acting artistically or just being fully and completely ourselves, you know? And I think that's what can get people there. And then at that point, you might actually be able to start changing your frequency and going into different times and stuff like that.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. When I do that, when I'm able to do that, guys, you're going to be the first to know. I promise you that. When I'm like, hey, I did it. Hey, I'm going to let you know. Absolutely, 100%. You're the best, APOC. You're welcome to stay. Let's get to, we got one person behind you. Let's take that. You can stay right there if you like and comment as you will. Kelly, anything before we go to the next call? Anything on what APOC just said if you're still there? He might not be still there.
No, man, go ahead.
There you go. No, man, go ahead. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right, let's do it. Let's get to, looks like this is, who is this? I'm not sure who this is. We got two different names. Welcome to Troubled Minds. You're on with APOC's here. Kelly's here. You're on with Mike. I'm Michael Strange. What do we call you, my friend?
Hi.
Good evening.
I'm Smurfer Girl in your chat on YouTube.
Smurfer Girl. What do we actually call you? You got two different names. Just a first name's fine, or what do we call
Danny.
you? Danny. Welcome to Troubled Minds. Go right ahead. What are your thoughts on this? Where do we stand here? You think we're all off the rails, or are you one of us?
We're all bonkers here.
Yeah, perfect. You're one of us. You're one of us. Perfect. Go ahead. What are your thoughts?
Oh gosh, I have lots of them.
Sure.
Well, I was listening to a caller earlier about falling asleep and then going back under the veil of confusion. But for me, waking up is waking up to clarity. Or falling asleep is waking up to clarity, rather. When you go to sleep, that's when you're in the real. That's how I perceive it anyway. But I think we're all born with, inherently with the ability to see all these things, to perceive, what would be called seeing things through time or through veils, whatever. And then we get to be a few years old and somebody tells us that fairies aren't real and this isn't real.
Breaks our hearts
Magic's
forever.
not real. Yeah. Oh, I mean, I experienced that when I was 12 because I actually, my first, I involuntarily experienced astral projection until I was, I don't know, about 12. And I had a really kind of heavy experience with it. I experienced falling from the air and hitting my bed, and that was the first time I had that happen. And I talked to my mom about it, and she's like, "Oh, you were just dreaming," and I believed her, and that was it. It was done. It was done after that. And so I think I don't know. I have so many vectors and avenues because I've been listening the whole time. But yeah. I mean, I do you probably know who Walter Russell is. I kind of align with his. That's why I was in your chat. There's no such thing as time. We only perceive it. It's a human mental construct. We need it to reconcile, the physical body experience that we're having.
Yes.
So we look at things linearly from, point to point or event to event, really. But if you think about it, all things are made of one thing, energy and light, or which is energy interchangeably. But so if everything is one thing, then nothing can be anything else. So nothing's moving or going forward or backward or advancing or recoiling, So we're all kind of just only in the now, and that's all there is. So you don't really need a machine. You can just go.
I see. Well, okay. So I agree in those terms. So a couple things real quick. So I get the concept. I agree 100%. In human terms, there is no past, there is no future. There's only now, because, right? It's like when you take one step, you take the next step, you take the next step. It's like those actual individual steps are exactly what's happening right now and forever, and whatever that happens to be, whatever those things are. I get that. The individual you brought up, I've never heard of, by the way, so I don't know who
Walter
that is.
Russell.
Yes, I don't know who that is, but Clearly, I'm familiar with the concept. So maybe it's a trickle down effect where I do know and I don't know, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't like that stuff doesn't matter, right? Because we're talking about kind of philosophy in many ways here. But okay, so let's take that philosophical concept of there's never a past, there's never a future, there's only the now. So do you think it's possible then from only the now to maybe communicate to that past and that future? Or do you think that's impossible?
No, it's entirely possible, and you're already doing that. You just have to realize that you're doing that.
I see. Okay.
And that's why, that's why people finish each other's sentences. That's why jinxes happen all day long. Because you are one and the same. Okay. You're made of one thing, and that's it. You can't be anything else.
Oh, yeah?
It's not possible.
Hold my beer.
Hold both of my beer.
Yes, there you go. Now we're talking. I'm just kidding. I'm like when people tell me I can't do something, I'm like, oh yeah. Watch me be two people. Watch this. I'm gonna start tearing.
Oh gosh, I'm a Gemini.
Oh, you're Gemini. Okay. All right. Pisces. Just for a clarification.
Well, that's kind of two.
Does that make sense?
Two fish.
Two fish. Is that two?
There you go. You are two people.
I am two fish. It's just two fish. But yeah, so I don't know, like that type of stuff. I don't know, like the tarot and the zodiac's over my head. I don't know a shit about it, but I do know that I'm me, you're you, together we're us.
I'm okay, you're okay, we're all okay.
We're all okay. It's all okay, and it can be okay, and we can share the okay space. I get that. I totally understand that. That's what I'm locked into. Like I'm of the keep it simple, stupid class. You know what I mean? Just like, hey, let's not complicate things. You trip over your own feet and your own shoelaces. Let's just be in the same space.
Right. Okay. Well, it all comes down to that. If everything is so simple as being inclusive of one thing, that's really kind of simple. That's really simple.
I'll take it. I'll totally take it. James says I'm an alien or a robot. He's confused. But all right.
He's both.
You're both I guess. So let me ask you, first time caller Danny, thanks for finding us. Where did you find us? How did you find this show?
I don't reckon I know entirely.
All right.
I saw your symbol. I know when I subscribed to you, it was just a few days ago, and I thought you were someone else who was rebranding themselves, but not in a positive way. I don't know if you said you were rebranding yourself, and I thought you were this other person doing such a thing, but you're not that person.
No. I won't do that.
More power to you.
If it gets to that point, I'll just shut it down. I'm not rebranding anything. We ain't doing that.
Okay.
We ain't doing that. I'm not trying to run from anything. That's the whole.
That was weird.
Yeah, that's weird. That's weird. No, thank you. But you found us on YouTube, though, right? For sure.
Yes.
Okay. All right. That's a good thing.
I'm an analog girl in a digital world.
Yes. Okay.
That's all I can handle.
I feel you. I feel you. I'm streaming on all the things and digital radio and on. Like, if there were more like actual worthwhile, I'd stream on 20 things. But there's not.
I tried that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got a channel? You got a YouTube channel?
Well, it's on your, the Smurfer Girl thing, but I've like dabbled on other people's shows like Aftermath and Revolution Radio kind of things,
shit.
but I've not had my own show.
Wait, Aftermath. You know Clyde Lewis?
Yes, I have a video on my channel where I got to ask Clyde a question about UFOs.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Next time you ask Clyde a question, can you ask him about Michael Strange and see if he knows who I am?
Okay, I'll do that.
You don't have to. I'm just kidding. But the reason I bring that up, Aftermath, I'm also subscribed to Aftermath. If no Clyde Lewis, there's no troubled minds. And credit where credit is due.
You know what? I hear that from a lot of people, and I can feel that he's a genuine being. He's not. He's a real,
yeah,
guy.
Oh yeah. I don't think he's a phony dude at all, and that's the thing, right? Yeah, that's what. So first, I used to drive a lot. Again, you want the whole story? I'll make it brief.
it's whatever. I mean, there's no such thing as time. So.
Well, I guess so. I'll make it brief. Professional driver, drove for years, listening to talk radio. Like, what the fuck? These guys are a bunch of assholes. I can't. Sean Hannity's a dick. This guy's a dick. They're all assholes. Asshole. Well, they're all full of crap. And what I could do way better than this myself. No practice, no anything, no anything, and I could do better than this, right? Just with some hip shot ideas, right? But I never felt politics was right. Right, because it was always division. It was always like just shitting on people, just dividing everything. It was just like, God, it just made me feel so slimy. Even listening to these guys, right? There's some things to learn from them, but still, fuck's sakes, it's so slimy. And so, right, like driving all day and all night, like luckily here, for whatever reason, like Clyde Lewis came on at 9 p.m. here in Vegas on KBET 790 AM. And I was driving home one night, and after listening to just like, you know, because you drive all that time, you listen to all your podcasts, you listen to all your music, you know, you're kind of like burned out. You're just like, fuck, give me something new. Just flipping through the stations, and I heard Clyde Lewis's intro at 9 p.m. So he usually starts at 7 p.m. live. 9 p.m. is when he came. It was like a, you know, kind of like the delay 2-hour delay thing. But I heard the intro to his show, and you could tell if you listen to the intro to my show, it's literally like a half ripoff of Clyde Lewis. And not only that, like I started listening to the guy, and I was like, holy fucking shit, this is it. Like, this is it. Like, not only can you talk politics, you can talk werewolves, you can talk consciousness, you can, like, it never like clicked in my brain that you could do all those things, because George Norrie is such a fucking hack. I said it, George Norrie, if you're listening to me, fuck you. This is George Norrie's a hack. He's boring. He's not Art Bell. Like, sorry if you like George Norrie, he's boring. He puts me to sleep. George Norrie, he puts me to sleep. I do like George Knapp. I like George Knapp. I'm sorry if I'm being opinionated and making you mad, but
no,
it's what it is.
You're just
right?
reminding of like Gaia Network and like David Wilcock and everything, the whole bunch. Put them all in the same box now.
Oh, as who? Norrie?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Which is fortunate or unfortunate? I don't want to offend you.
Oh, no, it's unfortunate.
Okay, all right. Just making sure.
Yeah, no, I'm not on that train.
Yeah. All right. I'm just saying. Like, I don't know. Like, and so, but then again, exactly. So then you start listening, right? You got the Ryan Gables of the world. You got the Joe Roops of the world. Like, there's a lot of brilliant people out there. But then, right, it's all style. And so, like, I like to, again, like one day I want to meet Clyde Lewis and shake his hand and tell him, hey, you know what? Like, you are an inspiration to a generation, and I mean that, 100%. Literally, no troubled minds without Clyde Lewis. And I fancy myself sort of a Clyde Lewis Jr., sort of a modern, you know, version of that. That's all. It's like, that's what I try to be. But look, we're blessed with people like you, with people like, I'm sure you've been listening tonight, all the amazing phone calls. It's become a team. It's become not just me. It's become all these incredible people. Like I always say, embarrassment of riches. Let's. The more we share ideas, the more we learn together, and it's incredible. So thank you for joining us and being part. There's my long story short that became longer than I expected, but no Clyde Lewis, no troubled minds. But yeah, I'm glad to know that you know him, because clearly you get it, because otherwise you wouldn't.
Well, you know, being able to come together and have a conversation like this is a luxury that I feel like could be taken away at any time. Yes. And so run with it is like full on, you know, strong and hard. Do it.
Yes, exactly. Roll it until you can't roll it any longer. And I agree 100%. 100%. Danny, a pleasure meeting you. Thank you so much. Thank you for finding us. I don't know what you searched to end up here. I won't ask.
You don't want to know.
I probably don't want to know. You're welcome back anytime. I don't want to cut you off. If you got more, go right ahead. Well, we're staying up late.
It was a lot more incoherent rambling, you know.
Hey, that's what I do all night. It's all good. But
do look up Walter Russell. I promise. Okay. Universal One, like it explains it all. And he's like a philosopher and a physicist at the same time. He like redesigned the periodic table in a way that makes actual sense. Okay. And it'll blow your mind for years to come, I promise. Okay, perfect. That's exactly what I need to hear. Thank you so much. I appreciate you hanging out with us. Thanks for listening. Thanks for being part of this. Thanks for calling. Thanks for being you. And you're welcome back anytime. You already know that. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Fantastic. Let's roll this. Anything, Kelly or APOC, for Danny here before we take off, before we finish this up?
Yeah, I just want to say I totally agree with her. I think it's all frequency and it's all connected, and there are tools to be able to sort of navigate it, but I totally agree. It's all one thing. So, amen.
Amen. All right. Amen is good. Amen is good enough for me. Kelly, you still there? No, he bounced. All right, cool. All right, so we're out of here. So the thing is, this is why we do this. Honest to God, look, I could do 2 hours on the radio and just be like, fuck it, that's enough. But I get that, like, we cut people off. There's commercials. That's kind of awkward. Some of the spacing and the time. And so the whole point of the third hour, the reason why we go late, the whole reason why we go late is to talk to you guys. That's literally what this is all about. So thank you again for bailing my ass out. Thank you again for coming up with ideas I've never thought of. Thank you for just being you guys. And again, like I said, if you listen to the news show today, there's no such thing as a nobody. Everybody's a somebody, and thank you for being a somebody, and thank you for listening and engaging, and more than anything, like I always say, thank you for spending your time and energy with us. That's the most important thing. So there we go. Let's finish this up. We're out of here. As we do this thing, you know how this goes. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 7 p.m. Pacific. We end around 10-ish, but hey, if you guys want to continue talking, we're going to continue talking. That's just the way it goes, right? I'm not scared. Like I said, one day I hope to go, like, if you guys remember Clyde Lewis in the old days, if you guys listened, he actually went from 7 p.m. to midnight. And if we get enough calls every single damn night, and you guys are actually interested in the things we're talking about, I'm not afraid. You get it? You get it? So this is what I'm saying. So like some of those conversations were the best because, you got to kind of reframe stuff each hour type of thing. It's easy. It's super easy radio. Like for me, it's super easy if you guys are interested in call, you see? So we're going to do that and continue to do that. And like I said, sometimes it's 3 hours, sometimes it's 4 hours, sometimes it's 2.5, and nobody's interested, and that's okay. So it's all good. It's all good. Like I said, you can't hit a home run every night. Honestly, I thought tonight would be like, I think people are going to be bored. They're going to be like, Mike, come on, get the fuck out of here. And look what happens. Look what happens. It blows up and we get wall-to-wall calls, and that's fantastic. Like I said, our cup runneth over, and we've got an embarrassment of riches, which is the secret of troubled minds, which is you. So let's finish this up. Let's get the hell out of here. I'm going to do this. I'm going to click it. If APOC's still in here, I'm going to try and impress APOC. Watch this. The audio engineer. Is she still here? Let me check. Still there, APOC? Yep. All right, here we go. We're gonna do this, and I'm gonna play the outro music, and you can hear it on Discord. Let me know. How's that sound? Can you hear it? You get a little bit of echo. Good. Sounds good. Hey, okay. All right. Here's what we're gonna do. APOC, are we plugging your podcast yet or not?
Not yet. No.
All right, not yet. Not yet. It's a secret. It's a super secret. One day soon, we will plug APOC's podcast. Thank you, APOC, for being part of this tonight. Thanks for listening. Thanks for just, again, most important thing is always spending your time and energy. Those are the most important things. Look, honest to God, and I mean that because I understand and I realize there are like 10 million things you could be doing right now. Like zoning out on the couch watching some Netflix show you've seen 1,000 times, right? Sort of that comfort food for your brain. So I get it. I understand. Thank you. Number one, thank you for spending your time and energy. Number two, thanks for staying up late with us. I get it. Sometimes in some places like over in the UK, you guys stay up late for us, get up early for us. In South Africa, Tam Bam, East Coast time. I get it. I understand. Thank you so much for just, caring, right? That's it. So as we finish, the good news is, well, there's no good news yet because the bad news is we're done. The bad news is we're done tonight. The good news is, God willing, we've got tomorrow. And tomorrow, by the way, we got another banger of a show because, well, Jennifer in the chat. Jennifer's going to be the co-host tomorrow, and we're going to be talking about a secret that we're not going to divulge until tomorrow. If you want to know, tune in tomorrow at 7 p.m. Pacific. Jennifer in Missouri will be the co-host, and we got some things planned. So come hang out. Come be part of that. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 7 p.m. Pacific. And, well, as we finish. If you want to help the show a few ways, Patreon, sub up on Rockfin. By the way, if you sub up on Rockfin, you get all the Rockfin stuff. Literally, there's not like individual. You sub up for Troubled Minds once, it's $10 a month. You get all the premium Rockfin shit. Every one of them. That's Michael Tracy. That's Abby Martin. That's you name it. That's Sam Tripoli. That's Crow777. They're all there. So hey, value is value, and that's it. So this is the thing. What did I say? Twitch also. Twitch, whatever. You can sub up on Twitch as well. They take like 40% because they're assholes. But anyway, all right. So what we're going to do is we're going to go like this. The bad news is we're done. The good news is, God willing, we got tomorrow. We'll be here tomorrow with Jennifer in Missouri. No hints for the Night Stalker. No hints. No hints. You're going to have to catch up on what that is tomorrow. But as we finish, really, honest to God, thanks, guys. I can't say thank you enough to all the amazing people who are part of this. I see you guys in the chat. I see you hanging out. I see you doing all the things. And like I said, it makes it really easy to come back, even when I'm tired, even when I've got things to do, even when, right? Like you I know you guys understand. Like, life is not like you snap your finger and nobody has to sleep, nobody has to eat, nobody has to do all the human things they have to do, right? Yeah. So thank you so much for making it easy to come back. Everybody follow GameVet02 on YouTube. What's up, buddy? I see you there. Thanks for hanging out. I'm going to keep talking past the music because I can fucking talk because it's this show and whatever. But so here's the thing, right? So thank you again. If you want to help the show, spread the word. That's the easiest way. That's the best way. That's literally word of mouth beats the algorithms. And as we finish, it goes a little something like this. With no music. It almost sounds better with no music. I used to think it didn't, but then I go back and listen. I'm like, damn, Mike, you're good. Be sure. Be strong. Be true. Thank you for listening. From our troubled minds to yours, have a great night.